Coach of the Year, Lamont Parrish, try and get back to the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. For more information and to secure your season tickets, visit thegamecockclub.com/MBB today. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game.
Since 1963, Takeuchi has been a pioneer in the compact construction industry, having developed the world's first compact excavator in 1971 and the world's first compact rubber track loader in 1986. Takeuchi continues to revolutionize the industry through innovative technology and listening to customer needs. Now you can partner with a truly global leader by contacting TEC Rental Equipment in West Columbia, Orangeburg, and Somerville. From world first to world leader, Takeuchi.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
Congrats to the Gamecocks women on another national championship.
A Cumulus media station.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
On a Thursday afternoon, welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside my good friend Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Well, he's sometimes my good friend, unless he needs to yell at me about something. It happens. Chris Clark's a good friend. He'll be with us coming up bottom of the hour. You know, it's weird. Chris was a regular with me on shows for many, many years. Often one of the first guys I would go to guest co-host, if Tommy was away or something like that, or, just call Chris, say, hey, you want to come hang out for a bit? Yeah. But now he and Wes, have their own show, and I never see him anymore, never talk to him.
Miss him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But do you think we should have an old home week when Chris comes on in a half hour, or should we kind of guilt him into thinking that he should be doing this program on a more regular basis?
I'm all for guilt tripping anybody.
Okay. Well, then we'll guilt.
It's a family trait of mine.
Yeah, so look forward to that then. About half hour from now, Chris will be with us. He thinks that we'll be talking Gamecock football and recruiting. But now it will be a 15-minute guilt fest.
Or an intervention.
Yeah, well, I guess we could work our way from guilt to intervention.
Yeah, saying, look.
But you have to, we need, what do we make him feel guilty about? Just really make him feel, or what are we going to intervene on? Hey, you can't do your show anymore, buddy.
Look at how much pain and suffering you're causing me. I don't get to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, you're going to need to just, tell Wes to, shove it.
Yeah, that's ultimately what it's going to have to get down to. Now we'll have to get a little more creative.
And then
how
Wes will get his, feelings hurt, and all of a sudden the station just turns into one long episode of Dr. Phil for a while.
You start talking about our feelings. All four, by the way.
Yeah, we shouldn't be afraid to do that.
No, it's okay to feel sad sometimes.
And then we'll morph into who was the guy where they threw stuff around, the guy with the glasses, and they threw stuff at each other and got in fights? Jerry Springer.
Oh.
It'll go from Dr. Phil to Jerry Springer.
Yeah, real quick.
Because people like Chris will get mad, and then he'll throw something. And then Jack will be here as an innocent bystander, but then Jack will get hit with, say, a microphone or a pair of headphones, and then Jack will be like, hey, I didn't ask for this. And then he'll pick up a monitor.
Now he has to retaliate.
Yeah, you got to.
That's the rules of engagement here.
Yeah. It's like a bar fight.
You get hit with something, you are now a part of the fight.
Yeah.
You're no longer an innocent bystander. You're tagged in.
If we had thought about this earlier in the week, then this whole bye week could have been that. But now it's Thursday afternoon and the week's almost over. So
better late than never.
Well, I'll just plant the seed. We have a lot of non-football weeks, believe it or not.
Planting the seed of violence.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Tears for Fears once sang, sowing the seeds of love. Not me, buddy. Not me.
Nope. Just violence here.
Yeah. Hate, anger, aggression, the dark side.
Yeah. See, and now we're getting to the more visceral parts of our humanity.
So there you go. Nah, we'll see. But if we don't, maybe if I change my mind in the next commercial break or two, we might just stick with the recruiting talk.
We might, but the vitriol can come later.
Doesn't mean it's not there.
That just means we have a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
Meanwhile, one of the truly nicest people that you will ever meet in your life, our good friend Brad Muller, will be with us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We'll talk Carolina women's basketball.
We can't invite Brad to the Rage Fest.
I don't think Brad knows how to get angry. I think that's why Brad is so good at rugby. Brad, otherwise, that is I believe that is quite literally Brad's outlet for any type of negative emotion. Brad's a good rugby player. I think he still dabbles, and that's it. Otherwise, again, I mean, Brad's like on the top 10 list of nicest people I've ever met.
I couldn't play rugby against Brad because I wouldn't want to tackle him.
Right.
I wouldn't want to do it. He's carrying the ball. I'm just gonna be like, Brad, can you nicely put this ball down, please? Stop. Can you stop?
We should at least
progress?
maybe ask Brad if all his teeth are his teeth, as opposed to being, implants or something.
Maybe, yeah. Like Brad, how many of your teeth are real?
Yeah. When'd you lose your first tooth playing rugby? Just see what he says.
And who did you run over to do it?
But Brad will be with us coming up in a bit. Yours truly will not be on the program tomorrow. So today in the 5 o'clock hour, we will play the Wild Card Showdown. Chance for you to win one of our fantastic 107.5 The Game craft beer passports. Although 3 weeks in a row, either Elijah or I have won. 2 wins for Elijah, 1 for me. So we've disappointed listeners, which is never what we intend to do. But at the same time, we want to win.
Yes.
So the disappointment of a listener participant is unfortunately part of the equation.
That's actually how I live. I don't get fuel from food, from nutrients, or water. It's solely from beating others in competition.
Sure.
So I am alive and healthy. I've never been better.
There you go.
I've never been stronger.
That's good. A lot of road favorites this week across the college football landscape.
Mm-hmm. Shades of a few weeks ago.
Yeah. A&M is not one of those because they're a home favorite, but I feel like a lot of people think LSU is going to win this weekend. It is part of the showdown. J.D. Piquel, I know you know him, Elijah, On 3 Sports national host, said on his show either yesterday or today, I forget now which one, he believes LSU is going to win. Not only that, and I'm with him on this, he believes Garrett Nussmeier firmly entrenches himself as one of the leading Heisman candidates this weekend. That Garrett's performance this weekend will do that for him. I think he's getting attention. I think, if the vote were today and it's not, Jainty's going to win.
Yes. And Travis Hunter's probably second.
Probably. I don't know how much his missed time is going to matter. And I don't know if I think he's expected to be ready to go this weekend against Cincinnati, which is all of a sudden a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm. Who would have thought? Beginning of the year.
I think Colorado's going to win. The way Colorado beat Arizona the other day, I was like, oh.
Like a drum.
Okay.
They've turned it around. Credit to them, man. They've turned. Yeah. They are in contention for the college football playoff. Because they're in contention to win the Big 12.
Did you read the piece about them? How their on-field success and lack of national attention have kind of been coinciding. Like there was the time, of course, last year early and a little bit this year. They were getting big TV numbers, and then it was kind of like, all right, they're not that good, and people have just kind of dropped off. I mean, and that's not uncommon. That's why we have the Billboard Top 40, right, in music. I mean, it comes and it goes real quick. But it feels like as they have gotten better, America is paying less attention. Now, I think some of that is because there have been a lot of good games. Some of that is because, their television schedule is not quite as attractive to the national viewership, or to even their own network partners. But, you get it done this weekend. And you get Travis and all of a sudden, will Travis and Shador both be invited to New York City? I think there's some buzz. I I don't know that Shedeur Sanders is going to.
I don't think Shedeur.
Yeah.
No. I think that the ship might have sailed.
But if he, can finish the season strong, you never know, right? But Nussmeier this weekend, so we'll get into that for you. Got some basketball to discuss as well. Further, I guess this Joel Embiid NBA investigation is actually a little more serious than I thought yesterday. I think there's just this feeling that now the Sixers maybe internally have said something the NBA's gotten wind of on like, yeah, listen, we're just not going to play Joel on back-to-back nights. We're just not. And the NBA is like, yeah, we don't like that. People expect to see our superstars. And
one of the biggest problems with your league right now.
Well, it is. And I heard this morning on Dan Patrick that the NBA, and you could tell me, look, the NBA regular season has begun. So here we are, the final week of October, and the season's underway. They play 82 regular season games, plus however many in the playoffs, depending on how good you are. And the playoffs are very spaced out until, they don't end until late June.
It's a season in its own.
And look, it's entertainment. I get it. This is, every team gets 41 home games. Every team plays 41 road games. And so, a lot of the times through the year, people are paying money to see you go do what you do. And that's fair. I guess Pop was the first one to do this with the Spurs, with Tim Duncan. Like, hey, and I guess Ginobili, when he was getting a little bit banged up, like, my guys, their knees hurt.
Oh, Tim Duncan got a DNP-old on a game once.
And that was the one that became funny, but it was real. And now everybody's doing it. I think Kawhi probably, look, we can do like organ transplants and stuff. If Kawhi could have a knee transplant,
please.
He'd play 100 games a year because they'd be good. He'd be good. His team would be good. They'd have a lot of games in the playoffs. But Kawhi's got bad knees, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that simple. He's got bad knees. He's played a lot of basketball. But this Joel Embiid thing, like all of a sudden, maybe the league, and I don't know how you force them to play him, but do you find them when he doesn't play? And if I'm an owner, like what if I'm Steve Ballmer with Kawhi? And I'm not trying to equate the two, but hey, when you don't play, I'm going to pay you a prorated share of the league minimum. And when you do play, I'm going to pay you a prorated share of your gajillion-dollar contract. Like, are there ways? The same thing with Embiid. Like, Joel, are you really hurt? Or are we, because even Embiid has said, listen, my team needs me in the playoffs. And I come back around to, don't you have to do well in the regular season to make the playoffs?
To get to them, yes.
Now, I don't know how many games, like I say, you're more of an expert on this than I when it comes to the NBA. How many games can the Philadelphia 76ers afford Joel Embiid to miss before they start to worry about even being the 8th seed in the East?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, if you're playing, I don't know, the Hawks, the Hornets, the Wizards, you probably don't have much to worry about without Joel Embiid.
Shouldn't, at least.
But if you're playing Boston or Miami, from what I've been reading, Orlando is going to be better this year.
Orlando's good.
Yeah,
I don't even say like that. That's a flat-out good basketball team.
Yeah, Cleveland is pretty good. I don't know much about the Bulls.
Yeah.
Pacers are pretty good.
Pacers are really good. The Knicks are really good.
Knicks. So, and that doesn't, and we didn't even mention Boston, obviously, but
the reigning champions.
Yeah, we know they're, So, anyway, there's some interesting things going on. We have our poll question around Gamecock football, and it will run through the end of the program. We actually started this on yesterday's show. Let me give you that because we're going to come back and discuss to set us up for what we're going to talk about with our good friend Chris Clark coming up at the bottom of the hour. But what do you most want the Gamecocks to do during this off week? A, fix the offensive line issues. B, work on quarterback, wide receiver timing. C, work on the run game. D, rest and heal. You can go to J. Phillips 1075 to do that. I believe Elijah retweeted that on the station feed yesterday, 1075 The Game. I'll give you results on the other side, but that'll give you a few minutes. We'll pump up some more numbers there. And this is going to run, Twitter tells me it has 2 hours left, so it's going to end sometime in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll have final results towards the end of the show. But fix the offensive line issues, quarterback, wide receiver timing, run game improvement, rest, and heal. Those are your 4 choices. Chris Clark coming up in about 15 minutes. Brad Muller, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. A lot of football in between. 803-404-6100 is the Thursday postgame show.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
Hate paying for streaming? One more thing you got to stream and pay for? Well, the Game app is, wait for it, free.
It's free! It's free! It's free!
Yes, all you got to do is go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app and listen for nothing in all respects of the word. Nothing. 107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Football season well underway. It means finding the best way to watch your favorite team or any other big game. If you're not there, then the best way is with an amazing home theater system. To catch all the action, again, no one better than Integrated Media and make that happen for you. Just one call, Integrated Media installs the latest in 4K technology from Samsung, including those beautiful frame TVs that look like museum-quality art when they're not tuned in to your favorite game. You couple that with a built-in Dolby Atmos surround system, and it's like you're part of the action. You want to go outdoors? Integrated installs home theater built around the Samsung Terrace TV, enhanced with Sonos outdoor speakers. It's built to be outside 24/7, y'all, and it looks and sounds like anything inside does. Check out examples of what they've done all across South Carolina. You go to Facebook or Instagram, punch up Integrated Media, then set up an appointment at 803-948-8327. Feel like you are there with Integrated Media.
Hunting season is here, and that means it's ATV season at Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Honda Recons, Rangers, Foremans, and Rubicons are in stock and ready to ride. 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, manual, automatic, and all new colors. We've got them, and you can shop them all right on our showroom floor. Don't forget to ask about current finance and service specials. Visit Carolina Honda Powerhouse in Columbia. Just take exit 70 off I-20 and turn by the Flying J, or visit carolinahonda.com. Honda recommends utility ATVs for riders 16 years and older and recommends that all riders take a training course.
Quietest dishwasher in the land.
Like a Bosch.
Dishes drier than the desert sand.
Like a Bosch.
Wash the dishes like a Bosch.
Clean like a Bosch. Check out the selection of Bosch dishwashers at the Nest in the Vista.
The Firehouse Captain's Club features their signature Captain Sorensen's hot sauce and their new Firehouse Hero Sauce, along with savory oven-roasted chicken, melted pepper jack cheese, crushed red pepper flakes, crispy smoky bacon, lettuce, tomato, and onions. Be sure to try the Captain's Club today at any one of the 14 Midlands Firehouse locations. Order ahead with the Rapid Rescue to go, but if a sampling platter is more your style, get all of your game day tailgate needs online at firehousesubs.com. Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen.
Kickstart your day at 9 a.m. with your Carolina Pick-Me-Up, sponsored by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you're injured, call 09s today.
Get George Sink Law Firm on the line. Call 999-999.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
Need a roof? Trust Crescent Construction. With over 20,000 roofs installed and counting, they've got the experience you need. They specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, and general contracting. Visit CrescentCarolina.com today for free estimates and free inspections. That's right, no cost, no commitment. Crescent Construction, quality you can count on. For all your roofing and construction needs, visit CrescentCarolina.com now.
Have a passion for serving children and families? Apply to become a child welfare case manager at dss.sc.gov. This message is sponsored by the South Carolina Department of Social Services.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100. 6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence. The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach
and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back into the post-game show. Jay and Elijah with you. Our buddy Chris Clark coming up in just a little bit, talking some Gamecock football, recruiting primarily. We'll get into a few things on Chris's thoughts around this program with 5 games to go here in the off week. But it'll be good to catch up with Chris and Brad Muller. We'll talk a little Carolina women's hoops. And, again, how many of his teeth are his teeth as a rugby player?
Let's see. We'll set an over-under 2.5 false teeth.
Okay.
Write that down. That's the official.
Wow, though. Okay, now if we're setting that as the over-under, what am I taking?
I'm going to go slightly under. I'm going to say right at 2, to be specific. I think we're going to get
then you know
really
what?
close.
You take. I was going to say, because initially I thought let's set it at 3.5, and I might go under. So I think it might be 3. So I'm going to go. I'll say 3. So I'll go over.
Rugby players known for form tackling, so the idea of him losing a ton of teeth. Now, if he played hockey, where the puck flies a little more towards the face area, and a lot of players recreationally playing hockey will choose not to have the visor or maybe a face cage, which does a pretty good job of protecting the chitlets. Then
I remember first being introduced to hockey primarily around the Olympics, but on TBS back then, the Atlanta Flames played. Now, this is back in the 80s. Early 80s. Remember, Jiggs McDonald was the play-by-play man. He wore a big old cowboy hat.
Jiggs McDonald.
Yeah. I'm assuming he was
not a real person.
He was probably from Canada, but
possibly.
You know, they got a lot of
Canadian tuxedo.
You know, but no, I don't know if he was Canadian or not. But I remember what I was going to say is, you know, like in the Olympics, everybody had the helmet. And they had put the rule in, like if you entered the league in whatever year. But when I didn't watch a lot of hockey as a little kid, but there were still several players back then that were grandfathered in to not have to wear anything.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I still, even as a little kid, remember like, well, that seems dumb.
Like, why would you want to do that?
You know,
yeah.
But, you know, I guess, and I remember one of them was the great Phil Esposito. And, Phil Esposito did not wear any protective headgear.
See, when Gordie Howe did it late in his career when he was playing with the Hartford Whalers, it was really funny. And I've only seen video, tapes of this or footage, not around then. But watching that was really funny because he'd have his gray hair and no helmet, skating around, a bunch of young guys wearing helmets and visors because he was playing long enough to transcend like multiple equipment rule changes. So watching this old man with no helmet on with a bunch of younger guys skating with like the helmet and the visor was comical.
Yeah.
If you ever go back and look, or just Google it. Gordie Howe, Hartford Whalers.
He was one of the greats. There's no question about that. But anyway, all right, that was fun. So we'll get the number again. Over under 2.5. Brad Muller false teeth.
Yes.
Over under 2.5.
We're taking action on this.
What are the Gamecocks, or what do you want the Gamecocks to do most during this off week is our poll question. We threw this out in the final hour of yesterday's show, but I set it for a full 24 hours. Fix the offensive line issues. B, work on quarterback wide receiver timing. C, work on the run game. D, rest and heal. Not a lot of change from yesterday, a lot more votes, but the percentages are still roughly the same. 65.4. I think we got near to 70% at the end of yesterday's show, so it's fallen back a little bit. 65.4% of you still say fix offensive line issues, but now 16.2%, this is the one that took a bigger jump, say work on quarterback and wide receiver timing. 11.3% simply rest and heal, with 7.1% of you saying work on the run game. And many of the comments that we've gotten, Elijah, and they're right, say, listen, if you can improve offensive line play, then quarterback and running back issues will begin not to fix themselves, but will certainly have an easier path to improvement. So I would agree with those things. And as we've touched on, too, there's a touch of irony in that this offensive line combination, by and large, has remained the same all year and has remained relatively healthy. There have been a few substitutes here and there and some things, but I mean, and that's going to happen, but it's nothing like last season in terms of injuries. And again, as you pointed out, and we talked about it a bunch, it wasn't until games, 8 and 9, 9 and 10?
I want to say 8 and 9.
That Carolina had back-to-back starts with the same 5 offensive linemen. So, I mean, the whole first half of the season and then some, you were shuffling that thing around as best you could and got about, 12 or 13 deep.
Yeah.
Which you'd probably never want to do.
You know, having to burn red shirts on players that you would have liked to have kept for them that season. Yeah, that's what's so killer about this year in this offensive line, or this offense, it is being held back by its offensive line struggles. And, you know, thankfully it's been good enough to still win you 4 games, and I say good enough. But if you block a little better in the second half of that LSU game and you're able to keep a run game successfully going enough to make sure, I don't know, you don't only run 6 plays in the third quarter,
right,
a quarter that ultimately change the tide of that game, then you win that game. And against Alabama, if you're able to not turn the ball over and sustain some more drives, and you could win that game as well. But against Ole Miss, it was the reason you lost. It was your inability to run the ball, your inability to do really anything on offense, especially in the red zone or on the plus side of the 50. The reason you lost, but it's what makes it so frustrating this year is that you do have some continuity. You do have the things you didn't have last year. You know, the chemistry should be there. Now, there are some growing pains because you are still playing some young players there, but at this point, you know, you would like to see that jump from the guys like Josiah, right? Because at this point now, this is the last Saturday in October. You've played all your October games. We're getting into November. You're not a freshman anymore. At this point in the season, you are no longer a freshman. You have played a lot of SEC football. You've played, 5 SEC games to this point. This is where that excuse goes out the window, flies out the window now. Now's the time to start seeing that development. And if to answer the question of the poll, fixing the offensive line is going to have to come into doing some real soul searching on who the best 5 is.
Right.
Because the starting 5 that you have coming in on the line might not be your best 5 right now. You're going to have to find a way to mix things up and find where your strengths are on that line and maybe center some of your play calling around it to where that way it's no longer a hindrance to what you're trying to do on that side of the football.
And, you know, how concerning is it that if you do make a change, you're going to be doing so, albeit at home, but against a defensive-minded coach and a good defense at Texas A&M. And really, you might not be able to even worry about that part of it all. But you know, would you have done it against Akron instead, or something like that? You know, I don't know how much of a difference that really makes. But I'd love to know. We won't really find out probably until Tuesday with Shane's next big time availability. Just how much, what's the word I want to use here? Experimentation they've done with potential 5-guy lineups
combinations. Yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point, because that's a real concern.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is shuffling your line, because so much about offensive line's continuity, right? That's why teams that go portal heavy in terms of building the entire offensive line oftentimes struggle mightily in the first couple of months of a season, as opposed to maybe one less talented, but the sum of the parts are greater because they have that continuity. But right now, you have that continuity, and you're still not yielding the results that you need to have from them.
Right.
So you're really just battling concern versus concern when it comes to the decision-making of your offensive line personnel. Is your concern about them not gelling very well mightier than the concern of how the normal 5 you put out there plays on a given, any given day? I mean, if you feel like there's a potential higher ceiling with a combination, at this point, it might be worth it to take that risk to be able to maybe throw more of Shivers out there. I do like some of what I've seen from Shivers, also some growing pains from a younger player, but I think there has been some flashes, especially in the run blocking, to where if you get in a game against Texas A&M And because you don't want to completely give away what you're doing, but if he's a better run blocker, put him in there for a lot of run blocking snaps. Now, again, that could lead to you basically tipping off your hand before each snap, but finding what the specialties of your guys on the offensive line are can potentially at least help you in one asset of your offense that can at least continue to help you move the ball down the field and at least get in field goal position to come away with points on drives.
We'll talk to our good friend Chris Clark on the other side of the break. We'll get his thoughts on some of what we just discussed and take a look as well at recruiting, especially as the staff is out this weekend with an extra opportunity to meet the newest or future Gamecocks, let's put it that way. You're listening to the Thursday Postgame Show.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
Homeowners, with the holidays coming up, now could be a great time for you to make some home improvements, maybe consolidate some high-interest debt. And the folks at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union ready to help you out with one of their great home equity lines of credit. You see, they're local. They're not-for-profit, so they're not paying out shareholders. And that means lower rates and fewer fees when it comes to borrowing money from Palmetto Citizens. And since they've been doing it for 85 years, you know that they're very good at what they do. And again, their home equity loans can offer you lower rates and closing costs and application fees than the big banks. So, you know, again, maybe it's time to spruce up the kitchen before the family comes in. Add another bathroom. Just fix things up. Or maybe there's that big vacation you want everybody to go on for the holidays. Whatever it might be, unlock your home's equity. Access that line of credit over a 10-year draw. Apply today at palmettocitizens.org or any of their 14 convenient Midlands locations.
Skip the oil frying with air. Like a Bosch. Crispy like the county fair. Like a Bosch. Cook like a Bosch.
Go inside the nest on Gadsden Street in the Vista to find out how you can cook like a Bosch.
Are you a Gamecock fan that's looking for flexibility to attend the games you want without committing to season tickets? If so, the Gamecock Go Pass is for you. For only $20 a month, your Gamecock Go Pass subscription provides you with access to all non-conference football games, most men's and women's basketball and baseball games, and all softball, soccer, and volleyball games. Plus, you have the ability to add on tickets for conference football games and premier basketball and baseball games for an additional cost. To learn more and sign up today, visit thegamecockclub.com/go.
Hey, Columbia, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, telling you about the diamond buying difference when you purchase a diamond from us. No matter if you're looking at mined diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, at Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have a huge selection of both, and which you choose is up to you, but either way, you always get trade-in value of the diamond solitaire you purchase. When you spend over $1,500, you'll get a limited lifetime warranty when you get your ring checked every 6 months. Traditions has an in-house jeweler with over 30 years experience to take care of your every need. Ring sizing, stone setting, or if you just want to come by and get your ring cleaned. At Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have hundreds of mountings to see, touch, and feel, and to try on, or we can special order or custom create the perfect engagement ring for you. Traditions Fine Jewelers, 5134 Sunset in Lexington, or in the Village at Sandhills. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
Get ready to smile because Herndon Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy dealer, is offering an amazing deal right now. Get up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Yes, you heard that right. Up to $20,000 off. Don't wait. Head over to HerndonChevy.com today and drive home in the truck of your dreams. Chevy, together let's drive.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Call 803-510-5447 for complete details.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the rock holiday tradition returns. December 12th, Colonial Life Arena, Columbia. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Bring the whole family to the all-new show. soaring guitars, dazzling lasers, and enough pyro to keep you warm all season. Don't miss Trans-Siberian Orchestra, presented by Live Nation.
Bingo. All right, Bill, we're recording now. And please put your phone on silent.
Oh, where is my phone?
Let's go, man. Okay. Get it together over there, player. Go ahead. Pick on me the way that you want to.
I wouldn't say that to my son.
Just go.
All right, why would people want to listen to the Sims Complete podcast?
A father-son dynamic duo talking about the game of football.
We do a lot of quarterback and coach talks. It's fun. I love doing this. It's been awesome.
Sims Complete. Check us out on the Believe Network. Appreciate it.
Just search Believe, B-L-E-A-V, wherever you listen.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet
on the Game Network.
Talking to Gamecock football on this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back in. About an hour from now, our buddy Brad Muller will join us talking some Carolina women's hoops. Season's getting underway within the next couple of weeks for everybody. Exhibitions have already been played, more to come, but Brad will join us coming up in about an hour's time. Always a pleasure, even if it's not as much as we would like, which we talked about earlier. Always a pleasure to speak with our good friend Chris Clark, who used to be a regular, and then he got his own show and just kind of forgot about us. So, but he's back today for at least a little bit. How you doing? How much guilt do you feel over not doing segments with me on a more regular basis? Just considering how many segments through the years that we used to do together.
Yeah, it's. I don't know about guilt. I mean, I was tricked into doing it and into doing the new show, and I feel fraudulent. But I guess there's desperation or something. I don't know. But I do miss our regular check-in. Right. So I hope you'll.
Well, I'm still here, more. Man. I mean,
I understand. Yeah, I understand people not wanting to hear. They're like an hour is plenty. Trust me. But
I have to do 15 a week, man. So I mean, Well, we're going to try subliminally now, perhaps, to make you feel more guilt, but it'll come. It'll be subtle, and you'll just pick up little clues here and there. Well, let's talk football in the meantime, Chris, and see where we get. This team is 4-3. A lot of people probably expected them to be 4-3. I'll ask you if you did, and then part B to that. At 4-3, is this how you would have expected them to be 4-3?
Oh, that's a good question. One of the things that I've heard, and I didn't hear this obviously after the Oklahoma game, but more than a few people said this, Gamecock fans. It's like, well, I don't have a problem as much with the record as the way that we looked or the way it happened, and they didn't mean like the LSU getting hosed by the refs, like type of narrative. It was just like literally how the team looked. And it's like, well, if you lose games, you don't sit back and say, man, we look great losing those games. Like that doesn't happen very often. The LSU game was probably an exception, right? Where you walk away from a loss actually feeling pretty good about a team and performance. But that's a rarity, right? So, if you were a person who said, hey, after 7 games, I'd be relatively happy with being competitive in every game but one. Having a squeaker at home in the opener, but playing pretty well even in a couple losses. If you're 4-3, like you're going to lose 3 games, right, in that stretch. So you're not going to look great in a loss. I think coming into the year, you always feel as the season goes on and you get some data, this is probably the toughest year I've ever seen to try to pick games week to week. It's just so much parity. But, the opinions on some of these teams have changed, right? Like LSU was probably better than we thought. Oklahoma, not as good as we thought. And some, have been kind of dead on. And I always saw it as, can you split Kentucky and LSU? And can you win one game in this tough October stretch? And really, that's what they've done, right? I think you can be disappointed in recognizing that if they play a little bit better, the ball bounces a different way in some instances, you could legitimately be, 6-1 right now. But you're not. You're 4-3. These teams proven they can play with anybody. They're battle tested. But I think we also know that this team is going to have low margins, as pretty much everybody in the SEC does this season.
Chris, I want to narrow the focus on the offensive line. Jay and I kind of hit on it in the last segment. I personally think this offensive line can be the difference in you winning out until the Clemson game and setting up what would be a really special game. But the defense has the goods to keep you in every single game you play in from here on out. If you can just get Lenoris protected in that run game, pretty efficient, I think they're going to look really good here in this month of November. But what do you think are maybe some of the biggest obstacles for improvement on this team right now, considering we've seen at least, the health maintained pretty well and the same, starting five or group of five guys starting each game?
Well, that's a great point on the health, right? I mean, you play this schedule, you got to be healthy. I mean, there aren't many teams out there in 2024 SEC country who could sustain a bad run of injuries. So they've been relatively healthy, which is good. And they need to continue that. You got to have that. You frankly have to have some luck in some instances. And in some cases, South Carolina has, some they haven't, right? But as far as what you can control, look, the biggest thing was turnovers, right? Wasn't everything, but it was a big part of it. If they don't turn the football over 4 times against Bama, do they win that game? I think there's a really good argument for it. Yeah, you look at the first 4 SEC games. They turned the ball over once against Kentucky, although they were very fortunate to only have that one, as we know. They win that game and win it handily. The other 3 SEC games against Ole Miss and against Bama and against LSU, they had 4 turnovers, 3 turnovers, and 2 turnovers. Hard to win games that way. When you are, going into the Oklahoma-Carolina game, each of those teams had won the games where they won the turnover margin and lost the ones where they lost it, except for South Carolina-Akron. That was even. That was such a mismatch that it didn't matter, right? But in SEC games, it absolutely matters. So Carolina took a big step in the right direction by not turning it over against Oklahoma at all. Now the question is, can they sustain that? And how much of that was not that they had to go conservative, but they certainly could have an altered or a more careful approach offensively because they went up 21-0 in the blink of an eye. So that to me is the biggest question. And I put that even over how does the offensive line and tight ends and backs protect and all that. It's just, can you take care of the football? If you can do that, this team, I think, is good enough offensively to run the ball a bit, hit a big play here or there, and let the defense carry them. But obviously the offensive line, improving up front, finding some things that work, that would be huge, as would the progression of Lenore Sellers or the continued progression, I think. But I think turnovers, that's the number one thing to me, guys.
Talking to Chris Clark at Gamecock Central, and, of course, part of what we do every single day here at 107.5 The Game. Let's switch to recruiting, Chris. In the off week, Shane and the staff hitting the road. I imagine I know the answer, so maybe instead of I'll ask it the way I'm going to ask you, but then you can line it up accordingly. But is there a recruiting priority for this staff, position-wise? Or, is it always about going and getting the best guy?
Yeah, I think, look, there are some spots where you could say, like, they have a quarterback in the 2025 class in Cutter Woods, right? They are close to full at receiver because, Jordan Gideon reclassified to 2025. Donovan Murph, the guy from Irmo, they're in a good position for. He's reclassified to 2025, and if you're banking on him, you're probably close to full there. The portal is going to be huge, Jay. And there are still high school guys on the board, right, at defensive tackle, at defensive back, edge with Jared Smith, who's committed to Auburn, potentially running back. Like, don't get me wrong, there are spots. But a lot of the class, in terms of the high school class, is in place. Your board has been narrowed there. So a lot of this week is, yes, checking on some of those senior targets, but going out and seeing some priority 2026 guys. And then the portal, there have been some guys that have entered the portal who have done the self-shirt thing and all that, as we've coined it. But December, if the portal opens, that's going to be huge. I expect South Carolina to take a portal prospect at a lot of different positions. You look at defensive tackle. Just the upperclassman-laden position that is, they're probably going to need, 2 or 3 portal defensive tackles. And so it's a mix nowadays, but I expect that to be a huge focus this year as well.
And you mentioned how loaded, the receiving group is for this 25 class. Potentially getting Donovan Murphy, too, who is a phenom in himself. But what's maybe one of the receivers that might not be talked about as much that you think can make maybe a Mazeo Bennett-like impression in his early days on campus?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, they've got several already committed. You look at a couple in-state guys who are 4-stars in Malik Clark, Jordan Gidron, Lex Cyrus out of Pennsylvania, who Penn State's still trying to recruit, Lenore Sellers' little brother, Jaden, and then they've also got Brian Rowe out of Charlotte. I'm really intrigued, actually, by those first 3 guys that I mentioned. Clark, not to discount the other ones, but out of the guys that are committed, Clark's a guy who's 6'2.5", 180. Gidron's a guy who's 6'2", 185. They've got the size that, South Carolina's kind of missing this year. Obviously, Nick Harbor's a big guy. But some of the guys that have been playing a lot, who've been pulling down the most snaps, are smaller. So you look at Clark, Gidron, they kind of fit that X receiver mold. But Lex Cyrus is a guy who can really run. He's 10'4" in the 100 meters. And those other guys will get a look. Murph, if he joined the class, he's a bigger, 6'2", 6'3" guy who can do a lot of different things. So I think, you look at the receiver room, I certainly think South Carolina is looking at having some freshmen make an early impact. And again, I'll say this, like I said, for a lot of positions, wouldn't rule out them looking at the portal. And if they can bring in a proven guy there this offseason, I think that's something they'll take a hard look at as well.
Pleasure to visit with you, sir. Don't be a stranger, even though you're on around here every single day. But it's good to have you back on in all seriousness. We'll do it again soon. Thanks as always.
All right. Thanks for having me.
That's our buddy Chris Clark, GC Chris Clark, to follow on Twitter, GamecockCentral.com, and again, every morning right here on The Game. Got some breaking Atlanta Braves news for you on the other side.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV.
Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality.
The Game TV.
This is Jim Rome with a Sports Minute, sponsored by Wendy's. Any size soft drink for $1. Following up on a question that I posed earlier this morning, who's got it worse, the Jets or the Giants? Well, I'll give the Giants this much. At least they haven't actually fired anybody like their buddies across the hall at MetLife. At least the Giants haven't fired their head coach already and somehow gotten worse. I'm Jim Rome.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? Because I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
All right. When it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states.
It's time for mortgage protection with Preston and your top broker, Benji Getsy from Buford Lending. Rates continue to fall. Hey, Benji, give us this week's Mortgage Minute.
6 straight weeks of declining rates and a Fed rate cut. Now is the time. VA 30-year fixed, 4.9%, APR 5.2, and the VA IRRRL, no income, no appraisal, close in 10 days, 4.8%, APR 5.1. 30-year conventional looking good, 5.5%, APR 5.8. Second home, investors, 6.3%, APR 6.7, and the DSCR, fix and flip financing, 6.9%, APR 7.3. And don't forget construction lending. Call for details. Thanks for shopping your rate with Buford Lending. We want to be your broker. Rate subject to change, equal housing lender, credit restrictions apply, NMLS 1703543.
For more information on how Benji and his team at Buford Lending can help you, visit them online at buford.mortgage or call 843-524-2404.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Reminder, speaking of football, the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest is rolling along, and as of yet, there has not been a special teams touchdown scored by the Gamecocks, which means next week against A&M, the pot is $800. You see, it's $100 a game, and if there's no winner, it rolls over, and it's rolled over 8 times now. So next weekend could be the time. Once again, I'll remind you, last year it took till game 10. We had a $1,000 winner. It's a Vandy game, right?
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 winner. May that be the case again this year? And I think is Vandy. No, Vandy's not game. Vandy's game 9 this year, right?
It's the game after A&M.
Yeah,
So the game
so
after A&M.
Missouri is game 10. But anyway, you can't win if you don't register. So if you would like to be eligible, you log on to 1075thegame.com. Look for the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. And the money in that pot could be yours if the Gamecocks score a special teams touchdown. And the reason I stress and emphasize touchdown is because the other day I caught myself, don't worry. But I said, the Gamecocks score on special teams. I was like, whoa.
Could have really goofed there.
Yeah, that could have been bad. I could. That actually, I'm
false advertising allegations.
I smile as I say it, but had I done that read without the use of the word touchdown, I probably somebody above the pay grade here in Columbia may have had to holler at me. Which
the word touchdown does a lot of heavy lifting.
It's a real crucial part of the contest.
Arguably the most important.
I would say you're right.
Maybe behind the money.
No, I think you were right the first time. I think the special teams touchdown is the most crucial part of the contest, other than the entering of the contest. But
which you have to do.
You do have to do that as well.
Yes.
But special teams touchdown. Just so we're all clear.
So we're all on the same page.
But thank you, as always, to Lisa and her law firm for helping us out with that. It's always a lot of fun. All right, so we'll get back into some football. Thanks, as always, again, to Chris Clark for joining us as well. Great to talk with Chris again. As I said, breaking Atlanta Braves news. This came down right about the same time we were starting our conversation with Chris. The Braves today have announced the hiring of Tim Hires as their new hitting coach. He comes to Atlanta after 3 seasons with the Texas Rangers, of course, part of their World Championship last year, or World Series Championship, as we're now supposed to say. He's also been the hitting coach of the Boston Red Sox and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And according to this piece from the Associated Press, he has coached a dozen Silver Slugger winners in his career as a hitting coach. And just icing on the cake, he is from Atlanta. He's 53 years old. And replaces Kevin Seitzer, who was among the 3 assistant coaches who moved on, if you want to call it that, moved on. Assistant hitting coach Bobby Magallanes and catching coach Sal Fasano were also relieved of their duties this year. You got to shake things up a little bit. And look, it's not always going to be Seitzer's fault or any hitting coach's fault when you have as many injuries as the Braves had. But again, for a variety of reasons, that's why a lot of the coaching business is transient. You need new voices, new ideas. But seriously, Tim Hires comes in very well respected. And, again, that's 3 great franchises that he's been working with as a full-time hitting coach in the last dozen or so years. So, including winning the World Series with the Texas Rangers. So, and as an Atlanta guy, again, that's icing on the cake.
I'm just here for the headline, Braves hire Hires.
I see what you did. If Tim Hires can also help keep people healthy, that'll be a positive for Atlanta next year.
Didn't know he was a doctor.
Well, I don't know if he is or not.
Or a witch doctor.
Maybe.
Which may have more power in determining if players get hurt or not.
Yeah. Hey, bartender, Joe Boo needs a refill. I love that. And then about, 5 seconds later is when the bat comes flying at Eddie's head. That's awesome. I love that movie so much. For slapstick comedy, baseball movie, it's just, maybe even sports movie. For just the slapsticky part, I think it might be. Because the baseball in it is really good. And sometimes it's not, I'll be like, I know this is a hot take and this is heresy to some. I don't like The Natural. Because the baseball, the baseball is terrible. I mean, Robert Redford is a fine actor. But he's a lousy baseball player in the movie. I'm sorry. That's just my 2 cents.
One could say it was almost unnatural.
Like Costner Costner is an athlete. Even Corbin Burnson. I was really surprised. Wait, the smarmy lawyer from L.A. Law can play a little third base? Wesley Snipes was good. Behringer was good. Sheen looked like a pitcher to me.
At least looked like a pitcher.
Looked like a pitcher.
And had the temperament of a relief pitcher.
And I still use that line, by the way, anytime I have to dress up too much. I feel like a banker in this. Hour 2 coming up.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Got plans for the weekend? Do they include yard work? Well, if you have to do the yard work and you have plans, let me advise you to go see my good friend Ben Cato, Matt Stedman, the entire crew at Cato's Power Equipment. And as I've said many times before, it's kind of like going to get, a new suit, at a finer shop, a haberdashery, if you will, right? This is like a haberdashery for power equipment. You like that? Thank you.
I learned a new word today.
But no, in all seriousness, man, like when they fit me with my lawnmower, you may say, well, Jay, it's such a lawnmower. No, man. I mean, what kind of yard do you have? How much, what's going on? What's your budget like? I mean, all those kind of things matter. And right now with the fall, listen, brand new blowers, edgers, trimmers, bags for the lawnmower. Make sure the blades are nice and sharp if you're using it to do all the mulching at the same time. Just trust me on this. Cato's is the best. 4012 West Beltline Boulevard and always online at catospowerequipment.com.
Your side-by-sides are the go-to machine for work and fun. And Carolina Honda Powerhouse is your Honda side-by-side superstore. Honda Pioneer 3-seaters, 5-seaters, and 6-seater models are in stock on the showroom floor. Big jobs, big property, and big hunts demand a Honda Pioneer. Come see the Honda difference for yourself. Carolina Honda Powerhouse, exit 70 off I-20. Turn by the Flying J. CarolinaHonda.com. For your safety, read the owner's manual. Wear a helmet and eye protection. Always wear your seatbelt and keep the side nets and doors closed. Honda S-by-S's are for drivers 16 years and older.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the rock holiday tradition returns. December 12th, Colonial Life Arena, Columbia. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com. Bring the whole family to the all-new show. Soaring guitars, dazzling lasers, and enough pyro to keep you warm all season. Don't miss Trans-Siberian Orchestra, presented by Live Nation.
Hey, Columbia, Scott here with Traditions Fine Jewelers, telling you about the diamond buying difference when you purchase a diamond from us. No matter if you're looking at mined diamonds or lab-grown diamonds, at Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have a huge selection of both, and which you choose is up to you, but either way, you always get trade-in value of the diamond solitaire you purchase. When you spend over $1,500, you'll get a limited lifetime warranty when you get your ring checked every 6 months. Traditions has an in-house jeweler with over 30 years experience to take care of your every need. Ring sizing, stone setting, or if you just want to come by and get your ring cleaned. At Traditions Fine Jewelers, we have hundreds of mountings to see, touch, and feel, and to try on, or we can special order or custom create the perfect engagement ring for you. Traditions Fine Jewelers, 5134 Sunset in Lexington, or in the Village at Sand Hills. Traditions Fine Jewelers, where the Midlands get engaged.
From lazy days and spontaneous adventures to revving up and reconnecting, you can almost feel the excitement building, the road ahead, and a whole new season of possibilities. It's back to cool time right now at Love Chevy with amazing savings on a lot chock full of brand new Tahoes, Suburbans, and the totally redesigned Chevy Traverse. A bolder exterior design, turbocharged V6, best-in-class cargo area, plenty of space for the team and the tailgate. Speaking of football, every day is game day at Love Chevy, where it's all about the fundamentals, honesty, integrity, and straight talk. No ridiculous add-on stickers like the other guys. And who could forget about Love Chevy's $1,000 low price guarantee? Get back to cool today at South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
The home of the national champion, Gamecocks women's basketball team. Congrats, y'all.
A Cumulus media station.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell. On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Get some roller skates, some glitter, disco ball.
I need a chain.
Well, you do have the Barry Gibb thing going on, man. We talked about that. Welcome back in. Second hour of the post-game show underway. He's Elijah Campbell, not Barry Gibb. I'm Jay Phillips.
Would like to be Barry Gibb.
Yeah, that'd be all right for a lot of reasons.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money.
Yeah, they've done all right, man.
Sing good tunes.
You look at Barry Gibb and you think, I don't care if you like disco or not, but you think, oh, the Saturday Night Fever guys? Like, yeah. But they were chosen to do that because they were already doing quite well as songwriters and artists. But then you realize how many songs Barry Gibb has written for others. And you're like, oh, because that's where the money is.
Call him Ichiro Suzuki, baby. He's a hit maker.
He is. But anyway, yeah. I mean, can I say, I don't know if you have Halloween plans.
I do.
And if you already, but I mean, if you don't have Barry Gibb as your costume, you really do need to make an adjustment.
Now, what I will be for Halloween, it's a couple's Halloween idea. My girlfriend and I will be Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake when they were wearing all denim at an award show back in like 2004.
Okay.
So I do have an all denim getup that does require a chain. So I do have a chain already.
Yeah, but being JT will require you to be clean shaven.
See, I'm not going that far. All right, where the commitment to the bit will only go so far. It's an attire only, right?
All right.
But since I will be attending a Halloween party tomorrow night, after my 7 hours of radio, I'll be wearing my costume here. So
sweet.
I want to be in full jean clothing.
Well, now I'm really kind of bummed that I'm not working tomorrow.
I know.
I need to see this.
When you told me you weren't going to be, I was like, man, Jay's not going to see the get up.
Well, can you just wear it next week on Halloween itself?
Sure.
Okay.
It's a very easy.
Do you have a second Halloween shindig you may attend where you could be Barry Gibb?
Yeah. I mean, I easily could. I mean, I could just come in
as
on
Barry
Halloween
Gibb.
as Barry Gibb. I got plenty of shirts that can do that, right? I got the hair, I got the look. I got a bunch of button-down shirts that do look very 70s.
Yeah.
I can pull that off.
And if you were really clever, and I don't know that you could do this, but you mentioned the Barry Gibb talk show.
Yes.
Which features JT. If you could find a way to do all of that to be Barry Gibb and JT playing Robin, that would be pretty spectacular.
I mean, then I would have pulled off Halloween pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I just need to start cranking tape tonight. I'm just going to start watching tape. Going to master the impersonations.
If you don't know what the Barry Gibb talk show is, it's a great bit on Saturday Night Live that Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake did. I guess when Fallon was still on the show that long ago, but then they did it last year. I guess when JT was back on, he comes around a bunch.
He does.
He's good. He's really good. He's really good on Saturday Night Live. He's funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah, he's funny.
Always has been.
Poll question of the day. Actually, we did this yesterday as a flash poll. We just got to talking about stuff, as often happens on this program, and one thing led to another. What do you want the Gamecocks to do most during this off week? A, fix the offensive line issues. B, work on quarterback wide receiver timing. C, work on the run game. D, rest and heal. We've had a few more votes come in since we last read the results, but still the number's holding now 65.3%. Fix the offensive line issues. 16.2 work on quarterback wide receiver timing. 11.4 rest and heal. 7.2% of you say work on the run game. I'm trying to get to a couple of the new. Let's see. Here's one of the newest comments. Fixing the offensive line issues should, all caps, allow us to work and expand on timing, run game, etc. It's hard to open up the play calling like many are calling for when we can't get the consistency up front to even run the basic stuff correctly. We've seen glimpses, but staying consistent is key. Yeah, I agree. And I just don't know how much improvement you can really expect. I think some, but I mentioned this a lot of the time, but my good friend, longtime co-host Michael Haney always pointed it out, and not that he was the first to come up with it, but at this point in the year in college football, you are who you are. I mean, somebody may emerge from somewhere and just have the light bulb go off or something like that, but by and large, you are who you are. I mean, right now in the NFL, what are we seeing? Trades. Guess what you can't do in college? Can't trade. Yeah, it'd be great. Hey, Alabama, we'll give you 3 of our allotted recruiting slots for your backup, I don't know, let's say right guard.
What would they give us for Tyler Booker or Caden Proctor?
And you just can't, so, I mean, obviously being facetious to make a point. So I don't know how much you can really expect improvement-wise. I think little things here and there to clean up, it can certainly be expected, dare I say demanded of some, if not, changes in the offing. But I think you brought up a great point earlier, and that is how, what kind of look are they? I mean, we know they are, so it's not a matter of are they, but what kind of look do you really take at those different combinations? And how much can you, even if you do make a change, what are you really looking for? And Chris made a great point when we were talking with him. You don't want to tip your hand. Well, hey, listen, if they bring in 74, he's a whole lot better at run block. But, man, you can get right through him if you want to get to the QB on pass play. Not saying that's going to be the case either. But
there's a way that you can tip your hand.
It's a fine line.
With your personnel alone,
Yeah.
And defensive coordinators in this league are too damn good to do that, which really is kind of what makes this really hard, right? I mean, if you're Shane and Dowell and you're concocting a game plan, it's, how can you mix up, maybe any combinations if you choose to get creative with your combinations? Like, how do you do that without telling, like, basically yelling at the other, the opposition, the defense, what it is you're about to do?
Yeah.
Tough.
So, again, not at all surprised, because I think a lot of different poll questions that we've thrown out through the course of the football season, if they involve the offensive line improving or anything of that ilk, not only does it typically win, it as this poll is showing, it runs away with it.
Dominates.
Yeah, and that's fair. I got zero issue with that. That's probably what I would be looking at too. The reason I might, and I realize they can do both, that the offensive line improvement can help, especially with the quarterbacking part. But where can Lenoris and his receivers do some of those things? How do I word it? Like, I don't want to say in spite of the offensive line, but that might be a fair way to say it. But
scramble drills.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just things that that, I mean, listen, there are plays, Elijah, as we've all seen, where he's had time and it's just been off. Sailing a throw here, underthrowing a guy there, maybe just a little bit behind, and it's there. And I forget which game it was. I want to say, was it the Alabama game that you had the stat about the clean pocket?
Oh, yeah, where it was like 50% of the time I think he was under duress.
Yeah, but, there was the one stat that when he had the clean pocket, that he was like 17 of 20 or something.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that was Alabama. Yeah. 17 and 19 for like 201.
Yeah. So, I mean, and you would say, well, duh. And so there again, I come in with, all right, well, figure those things out. I don't want to say put them to the side, but like, what are we doing right here? Is it because we're not being blitzed? Is it because we've just figured it out on those plays, or we did it right, and when do we not do it right? Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's
we're picking up blitzes. Yeah, that's something too.
Things like that. And again, some of those, as Shane and Dowell have said, are not always on the offensive line. Does a running back pick a guy up? If you are having a play where you roll Lenoris out, is the receiver or tight end doing their job? I mean, little things like that. All of it comes around, but I don't disagree with the fact that this offensive line can play better football. But it is interesting to me, and again, dare I say, a little bit ironic that this season they've been healthy, and yet we still. And I don't have the numbers. I should probably go back and look. I don't have the numbers from last year to this year in terms of the amount of duress, perhaps, that the quarterbacks are under.
Oh yeah.
Because last year it was a lot.
Those are accessible. During the break, I will pull those up just so we can get a side by side comparison. But when you posed the question earlier, exactly how much better can you get from like an offensive line standpoint during the bye week? I did kind of just think about one thing that you can get better at, and that's studying defensive tape of the teams you're about to play and like tells on blitzes. Look, talent-wise, you definitely are what you are. And in ability, you are what you are. Strength, you are what you are, right? No one's gaining 20 pounds of muscle here in this week, right? No one's turning their bodies into Larry Allen in this bye week. That's not happening, and that's a tall ask. But there's a lot of issues that I've noticed this year with this offensive line, the offense in general, because like you said, it's not just the offensive line when it comes to picking up blitzes. Running backs have to be able to do it too. You have to be prepared for a lot of the things that defenses throw at you. I think that's why Oklahoma was successful on the defensive side of the ball for a lot of that game, was because they are really good at just duping offenses into making them think they're going to do one thing and then do another. So many times this year, too, we've seen even the Old Dominion game, the offensive line had a hard time picking up a blitz or where the blitz is coming from. That's where the pressure comes, and that's when the pocket collapses. That's when the play breaks down. You now have this entire week to look at a lot of what Texas A&M does specifically, and then the other defenses on your schedule in terms of having your offensive line look at what they do and kind of figure out patterns as to where blitzes come from, what their tendencies are. Maybe if you have more knowledge, if the time allows you to be more knowledgeable of your opponent going into this next game, that helps better prepare you for where these blitzes and these defensive attacks are coming from, to the point where if you can eliminate that concern, then maybe you're going to be able to execute at a better rate. You're still going to lose some, right? I mean, even then, a good edge rusher's pass rush win rate can go anywhere from 25 to 35. So there's still that amount that you can still lose, but you can still at least maximize your margin for error if you're at least more prepared from what other defenses are going to throw at you. I think that would at least show some improvement in pass protection, if anything.
Yeah. And again, I'll say too, not to follow on the same thing, but if you're a Carolina fan, you're hoping that LSU and Texas A&M this weekend beat each other up, and then you'll just have a better opportunity.
Beat the hell out of each other. Yeah, maybe A&M's,
they're just a little slower.
Yeah, a little slower.
A little bruised.
not as fiery off the ball, or that it's such an emotionally draining game that, like, maybe the best result that could happen is A&M losing in the most heartbreaking way possible, getting that first conference loss, and then having to come here and get, because like they're at home against LSU.
Yes.
Losing in a close game like that with the opportunity they have at hand to be in sole possession of first place in the SEC, losing in a heartbreaking fashion at home, having to go on the road to a hostile environment where you did not win the last time you were here, having to play a defensive line and a defensive unit that is always up for it, and you having to kind of bring your own juice after a tough loss, that's a big ask for any college football team, actually. So really, your best scenario might be LSU beating them in heartbreaking fashion. So maybe you hope Texas A&M goes up 2 or 3 scores, LSU makes an epic comeback, A&M completely gags it away, and that maybe their spirit is like slightly broken coming in here next Saturday.
All right. Well, I think Gamecock fans will get behind you on that one.
Yeah.
You know, there's that. Maybe like a kick 6 or something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm a sucker for
Just
kick
something.
6, yeah.
All right, we'll come back on the other side of the break. Our buddy Seth Emerson doing a deep dive on the numbers, and about 10 words in, I realized, man, this is right in Elijah Campbell's wheelhouse. It's called. I'll just set it up. It's called sudden change margin. What does that mean, and why is Carolina really good at it? We'll explain. Well, Elijah will, when the postgame show returns.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Look, we're getting into the best part of the sports calendar, in my opinion. Football season's still going full steam. The basketball regular season has just begun, and we're entering the championship round of professional baseball. And you can get in on all of this action with my friends over at Prize Picks. Look, it's my favorite daily fantasy app for many reasons, right? Yes, the cash out experience is really easy. Yes, injury insurance is really cool. So if I have a player in my lineup that goes down in the first half and can't return in the second, Prize Picks will help you out. There's so many options here on Prize Picks, and all you got to do is pick more or less on a few player stat projections, and you can win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. I know tonight there's a team in San Antonio playing basketball with someone named Victor Wembanyama who's pretty good. I'm leaning on more than 11 rebounds. I pick more on everything, because I'm all for the cheap thrills in the hot action. Download the app today, use promo code 1075GAME, and get $50 instantly.
With over 100 online casino-style games, Chumba Casino is your go-to destination for nonstop entertainment. Play for fun and play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Plus, text second title with approved credit. Call 866-243-4623 for details. Do you owe more than your car is worth? Are your payments too high? If you answered yes, you need JT's Jeep Ram. Even if your credit's been turned down. For the first time ever, JT has up to $9,500 in factory authorized rebates. Use it to pay off your car or lower your car payments. And JT has 0.9% financing for 72 months. Only till the end of the month. Claim your cash and drive away in a brand new Jeep or Ram. JT's Jeep Ram, Greystone Boulevard. Jeep Adventure Days.
Hey guys, Jay Phillips for the Men's Clinic. Not feeling like yourself as you get a little older? You're wondering why? Don't wait for it to change or go away. Instead, see Dr. Dan Bognight and his team at the Men's Clinic. You'll have a one-on-one consultation that will get to the root of the issue and get you back to feeling like you used to. There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all treatment at the Men's Clinic. Get a free consultation. Schedule one at 803-875-MENS and learn more online at themensclinicsc.com.
Mike Rowe here with a quick question. Have you noticed the musty smell in your home? I hope not, because damp smells mean that you could have a crawl space problem. That's where Mount Valley Foundation Services comes in, a groundworks company. They can honestly assess your situation and create a plan to waterproof your crawl space and get to the root cause of the problem. Schedule your free inspection at fixmyfoundation.com/row, and while you're there, check out my latest dirty job.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
I don't know what's scarier, the spot your pet just left on the carpet or the idea of you trying to clean it. Good thing you can call my friends at Zero Rest Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to get your home insanely clean. Take advantage of their spooktacular savings and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $129 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Easily schedule your cleaning online, ZeroRestColumbia.com. Zero Rest, a smarter, lasting clean.
Got something to say?
Bring us up on the Love Chevy phone line
at 803-404-6100. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back into the post-game show here on a Thursday afternoon. Our good friend Brad Muller will join us in just a little bit. We'll talk some Carolina women's hoops. #1 Gamecocks getting their season underway very soon. They've already played an exhibition game over in Memphis, Tennessee. That's right. All right, so, listen, I admit from time to time I don't like math. I can do some math. I'm probably harder on myself about math than I should be. Then again, maybe I'm not.
I've seen you do like math live on air before, and it be correct.
But our buddy Seth Emerson has looked, and again, when I read these first couple of paragraphs, and they're small paragraphs, and I'm just going to read it. And then I was like, oh, man, I know this has Elijah written all over it. He says, there is no one metric that definitively shows which are the best and worst college football teams, other than points and maybe wins and losses. But as for how they get those wins and points, we've discussed a few seemingly obscure but key metrics this season: explosive play margin and yards per play margin. Let's add in another: sudden change margin. And it goes into basically, I can explain a little bit of this, but I think maybe you'd be better at it. I can read some of what he said, but again, this is your wheelhouse, sir.
Oh, this is. See, I love metrics like this. And it kind of plays off turnover margin, which is pretty simple, right? It's take all the turnovers you force, subtract the times that you turn the ball over yourself. You always want to be plus in that category. Now, the value in turnover margin, usually from a year-to-year basis, if a team has a really high positive turnover margin and say they go like 11-1, right? Statistically speaking, that luck doesn't carry over year to year. There's more than likely a regression coming the next season. I like to use my favorite NFL team of all time, the 2009 New Orleans Saints, who are a good defense, but they were #1 in turnover margin by a large portion. I mean, they had so much turnover luck that year, it wasn't even funny. They didn't turn the ball over a lot, and the defense forced a lot of interceptions and a lot of fumbles. Doesn't always go your favor from a year-to-year basis. And then after that, the Saints were not as good to be able to get back to the Super Bowl for, ever, because they've just never reached that level of positive turnover margin. But what this sudden change margin metric that Seth Emerson writes about basically tells you what you do once you do force those turnovers, right? I can have, my football team can have a great turnover margin, but if the offense stinks and My offense goes out there after forcing a turnover on Jay's 20-yard line, but we have, minus 10 yards in 3 plays and shank a field goal. It does me no good, right? Then we're back to where we started.
Right.
These are the teams that take advantage of turnovers the best and are the best firefighters in terms of taking or putting out the fires that your offense created by turning the ball over. So it basically uses all the points that you gain from turnovers and subtracts the points your opponents score off of your turnovers. Number 1 in the SEC, Vanderbilt at plus 41. Now, in terms of turnover margin in general, Vanderbilt already has the best turnover margin. They're plus 6 in turnover margin on the season, but plus 41 in sudden change margin. So they're forcing a lot of turnovers. They're taking advantage of those turnovers by turning them into points. Tied for second in the SEC, South Carolina and Ole Miss at plus 39. Both those teams also have plus 4 turnover margins, meaning they do really, really well at turning those turnovers into points. And then whenever they do turn the ball over, like Clayton White loves to use the term being like firefighters, take the fire out, right? He said that in a press conference just a couple weeks ago when asked about the tough task of your defense going out there and having to get stops, even if the offense has advantageous starting field position. And in terms of just the combination of those two things, South Carolina tied for second in the entire SEC. A very fascinating metric to be able to look at, maybe not in terms of sustainable success over the season, but these are teams you don't want to turn the ball over against. And if you have turnovers against them, it's not guaranteed points. Rounding out that top 5 would also be Texas and LSU. And it's by a pretty wide margin, too. Again, Vanderbilt was first at plus 41, South Carolina and Ole Miss at plus 39, and then fourth is Texas at plus 28. Wow. So an entire 11-point differential. Yeah. And then LSU and Tennessee at plus 27 kind of round out that margin. Very interesting to see the teams that are last because it explains a lot, right? Arkansas lost a close game to Oklahoma State because they couldn't stop turning the ball over. They had about a gajillion yards estimated on offense against Oklahoma State, lost in double overtime because they had some key turnovers that cost them the game. They're minus 5 in turnover margin for the season. They're minus 33 in sudden change margin.
Yuck.
And then, of course, Auburn, right? Auburn, 2-5 Auburn. 2-5 Auburn, that is fourth in the SEC in positive margin in terms of yards per play, offense and defense. In terms of ball movement and not allowing offenses to move the ball on you, Auburn's one of the best in the SEC. Crazy enough. But here's how you can be that good and still be 2-5. You're minus 10 in turnover margin.
Wow.
You might be like, Elijah, that doesn't sound really good. Well, it's not, because that's the worst in the SEC. Jay Phillips, would you like to guess the team that is the second worst in the SEC in just raw turnover margin?
I saw the chart, but I'm trying to recall now. Was that Arkansas that you mentioned?
At minus 5.
Okay.
So they are 5 turnovers worse than even the second worst team in the SEC.
Yeah, that's brutal, man.
And then they're minus 15 in sudden scoring.
But now the minus 15, that one's kind of interesting. So basically this means, and I know I read it in Seth's piece, South Carolina has only allowed 19 points off 12 turnovers.
Yeah. And that defense carries a lot of that metric. Right?
Yeah. Meanwhile, South Carolina has scored 51 points off 16 turnovers, if my math is right in terms of how this margin is gathered, yes?
Yes, you'd be correct.
That's tremendous, man.
But here's my biggest takeaway from it, though. Just by looking at this chart and then by looking at the yards per play tricks, below it, he has an updated yards per play margin. So basically, the average yards you're picking up on offense versus the average amount of yards per play you're giving up on defense, usually winning that battle almost, about 85 to 90% of the time wins you a game. And I looked at the teams that are very low on that list compared to the teams that are very high on the others, meaning how reliant are you on not just turning the other team over, but taking advantage of those turnovers.
Right.
So in the yards per play margin, South Carolina, 12th in the SEC. Vanderbilt, 13th in the SEC. LSU, 11th.
Yeah.
Those 3 teams are also in the top 5 in sudden change margin. So those 3 teams are your most reliant on that to win football games.
It's a cool stat, and again, I if I had to do this by myself, I don't know that I'd have done as good a job of you, especially in a short amount of time. And I told Elijah after I was reading, I was like, "And there's a lot of numbers in here."
Thankfully, no calculus.
But this goes
geometry.
This goes to why I told Elijah, like, man, I'm glad you do this, and I can, like, I know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to have to get there. That's all.
The explaining it can be pretty tough.
But it
Seth
is
does
cool.
a fantastic job
but
breaking
when
it down.
No, but in all seriousness, like looking at it from that perspective, like, basically the sudden change margin for South Carolina is telling you this season thus far that even though South Carolina has had some cause, and look, I realize in the Alabama game they were -2 and they lost the football game by 2 points. I get it, but the turnovers haven't killed you in ways like they have for Arkansas.
Yeah,
where Arkansas is just brutal. They allow a lot of points off those turnovers, and they don't get a lot of points if they take the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
And South Carolina is basically averaging giving up a little over 1 point per turnover, like about 1.5 points per turnover, but scoring more than 3 points per turnover.
Really, this just tells you how advantageous South Carolina's even offense can be, and how advantageous the defense can be as well, in terms of, or at least how good they are at putting out the fires the offense starts.
Yeah.
Right? So, especially you look at the Oklahoma game. That first interception that Nick Emenwari gets, the offense did a fantastic job of not even having to put the ball in the air.
Mm-hmm.
The run blocking was fantastic. You opened up holes for Rocket. Lenoris made a great impromptu play to scramble. Gets a 25-yard run to get you into the red zone. Yep. Rocket takes care of the rest. That's your offense being advantageous, and that's true complementary football, like at its finest. That might be like the dictionary picture of what complementary football was your defense setting up your offense to be able to score points. This type of sudden change margin and how good you were with just doing that is how you got up 21-0 on Oklahoma. That's South Carolina's blueprint to winning football games. Yeah. And it tells you not just that it's their blueprint on how they do win football games. Same thing for Vanderbilt and LSU. It's almost a mandatory. You have to be able to control turnovers and take advantage of the breaks that you do get in order to win games.
Yeah. Can they continue it? We'll find that out. But it's certainly a part of who they are. 803-404-6100 be a part of the program. Come back, though, on the other side of the break, and we'll be joined by our good friend Brad Muller, the voice of Carolina women's basketball. Coach Dawn Staley's team will start number 1. How different is this year's group? What's Brad expecting? That and more when the postgame show continues.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach.
The Game Network.
Everyone wants you to pay for their streaming app. You got to have this one. You got to have that one. Well, not us here at The Game. Why? Because we love you more than they do. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app for free.
Plus, text second title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. Do you owe more than your car is worth? Are your payments too high? If you answered yes, you need JT's Kia. For the first time in years, JT has 0% authorized finance rates for 5 full years. Use it to lower your car payments. Get a Soul or Forte from $17,990. Tell the banks no thanks, pay no interest, and keep the savings in your pocket. This month only at JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road.
Honey, would you take a seat? I have a confession to make.
What is it? What's wrong?
Well, I was out driving today and I saw some hookers on the side of the road. A bunch of huge, professional, beautiful-looking hookers. So I did what I was supposed to do. I slowed down and I moved over.
You slowed down for the hookers?
Well, yeah, it's the law. There was a whole fleet of Schroeder's towing trucks assisting with an accident. Wait, what did you think I was talking about?
Schroeder's Towing reminds you to slow down and move over for all first responders.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Nothing slows down a job like not having the right equipment. Maybe your favorite zero-turn or push-mower is getting repaired right now. Or maybe you want to take advantage of some dry weather to finally aerate or dethatch your lawn. Or maybe you just want a great excuse to mow with our super cool Gravely EV. Either way, come to Cato's, where we have a ton of new rental equipment available for daily, weekly, and monthly rentals. Cato's Power Equipment is here to bring you solutions to keep your yard or your customer's yard looking their best. Give us a call at 803-254-3711.
This is Larry Leitner.
owner and founder of Midstate Roofing. And for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hostetler-Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Hit us up on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100.
Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic
is sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive in West Columbia. Wetzel'sAuto.com.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues on the roadways. We'll start with an accident that's got the right lane completely blocked. That's going to be on I-20 westbound over at Broad River Road near exit 65. We also have an off-ramp blocked because of some emergency repairs over on I-20 eastbound. That's going to be the off-ramp to South Carolina 277 near exit 73.
What you're talking about.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet
on the Game Network.
We've been talking some Carolina football, but time to change gears and welcome back onto the program our very good friend Brad Muller, the voice of Carolina women's basketball. If you want to be technical about it, the season's kind of already started with the St. Jude Tip-Off Classic in Memphis, which Carolina won by 43 points. Have one more exhibition game in just a couple of days, and then the regular season begins same day the men do, but the women will be out in Vegas taking on Michigan. So maybe there is a good place to start our conversation, Brad, because Elijah and I, knowing that you are a rugby enthusiast, have set an over-under of 2.5 on number of teeth in your head that are not yours due to rugby. I have taken the over. Elijah has taken the under. Who would win if we were betting on that in Vegas next week?
Surprisingly, it would be the under because, fortunately for me, the teeth weren't the biggest problem. In fact, there's only technically two different teeth where half the tooth is not mine, if that makes sense. So that combines for one. Yeah. But strangely enough, neither one of that, I don't know if it qualifies because neither one of those were due to rugby. One half was due to rugby. The other half, I took a baseball to the face in 1983 when I was, and had root canal and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So if you had two broken noses, then if you had 2 on the broken nose department, you would have been right on the money there. But no, fortunately, a war mouthpiece during my I think I played for about 18 years, and a war mouthpiece. And fortunately, my teeth stayed in my head. It's the rest of the body that fell apart.
Well, here again is why no matter the bet or prop, this is why I don't bet on sports, because I'd have lost.
There you go.
See, I'd have lost.
And that's why I do, because I would have won.
Yeah, because Elijah would have won. So there's that. Listen, expectations now, it's nothing is unfair. Dawn has built this program the way she wants it, and they are now a 3-time national champion. But there's really seemingly just one expectation for this team. But it's a different team. You've lost some players. You brought some in. We've talked with you before about how the new players kind of mesh with the veterans in terms of the excitement of playing for South Carolina. So I guess I'll ask, how different is this team as it prepares for what has become the one expectation above any other, and that's to be the national champion?
Yeah, I don't know that there's a ton of difference, even though you've got, a few new names. A majority of the team is back. Obviously, the one missing, the big one, the 6'7", Camila Cardoso, who's playing in the WNBA now. But that's the only one you graduated. So, it is hard to replace a 6'7", who was, the SEC Defensive Player of the Year and who was good on both ends of the floor. You don't just get 6'7" in women's basketball, But they've gotten some other really good ones. They had some other really good ones that came off the bench last year, and they've gotten some really good ones, locally. Freshman Joyce Edwards is going to be a special player. She doesn't have to be a star right away. That doesn't mean she won't. It's similar to Asia Wilson. You remember her freshman year, she came off the bench. Asia Wilson and Elena Coates coming off the bench that year. Think about that. And, I don't know if Joyce will start, but if you have her coming off the bench, I know one game does not a career make, but she looked pretty darn good in that exhibition against Memphis last week. You still got folks coming back with plenty of experience that can carry the load. Sanaya Fagan's a senior that's been just itching for her turn. Miriam Dowda's a big pickup, a transfer from Arkansas who can shoot from the perimeter pretty well, a big who can shoot the 3. I'm excited about Adele Tack, who was actually with the team last year. She's a 6'5", more of a true post. That'll give you some size. So I don't know that even though there's a few, just a couple of new names, 3 or 4 new names on the team this year, the expectation, you're right, is the same. Get to the Final Four, because that's where they've been 6 times in the last 10 years. And so there's not a lot different. Most of the folks on this team have been to the Final Four every year of their career. Some of them have won a couple of national championships. That's their expectation. So why should ours be any different, right?
You mentioned some of the new players, but I think one of the more fascinating elements of this team is that some of the players that we know of that were on this team last year that are maybe playing in new roles. You touched on Sanaya a little bit. I expect her to maybe see more starting time this year, but in the minutes she played ever since she's gotten here has been very effective. And I thought it was really interesting last night, Dawn talking about Chloe and how she may be a little undersized for her position, has really worked on that, and I can possibly see her role growing too. But for those two right there to try to replace that production that Camilla had, what are you kind of expecting in terms of how Sanaya and Chloe's roles will just grow?
Yeah, they do different things. That's the big thing. Camilla was very good under the basket and very good defensively, if not blocking shots, making people pass so they wouldn't get their shot blocked, if that makes sense. So, she created so much with her defense, just her presence. With the two that you just mentioned, Sanaya, I've been saying this since she got on campus 4 years ago. Offensively, even she's a little bit undersized at 6'3", but she can do so much. She has potential to be one of the better offensive players in the paint for South Carolina. For her, she was always playing behind an All-American, whether it was Boston or Camilla the last few years. And maybe her defense wasn't as good as those two, but if she's improved there, she's really good offensively. She can finish. She doesn't miss, underneath the basket. She's going to be a lot of fun to watch, now that she knows, hey, this is my turn. I'm a senior. And, Coach, as you mentioned, addressed it last night with Chloe Kitts. She's come a long way. Remember, she started school early, came in here. This is, year 3 for her. I call it year 2.5 because she came in January when she finished high school early. In that first half season, yeah, she looked like someone who had just come out of high school and wasn't quite ready yet. You could see that in her first year. Last year, she made a huge step in terms of her ability to dribble in traffic, her ability to defend a little bit, and her ability to shoot off the dribble. And I think that's where she can help this year. She's not a huge body in terms of girth, that's going to out-muscle people under the basket. But what she does offer is the mid-range shot. If you play off of her, if you think she's just going to drive to the basket and try to get a layup, and you leave her, a little bit of cushion, she's going to hit the mid-range. That's what she can do. She did that a little bit against Iowa, so she can be a little bit of a matchup nightmare because of her ability to hit the mid-range.
Brad, the last time we saw Tessa Johnson, she was what I called a quiet assassin in the national championship game. 7 of 11 from the floor, 3 of 6 from 3, led the Gamecocks with 19 points in beating Iowa for the title. She was a freshman. What do we expect out of her now? This is a loaded team, but, man, she's good.
She is, and she's a terrific kid as well. And it's really neat because it was neat to watch her progress. Last year you had the 2 freshmen with Tessa and Malaysia Fulwiley, and Fulwiley, right away against Notre Dame in the season opener last year made her presence known. For Tessa, it was kind of a slower burn. She had to get through some things and kind of adjust. But you just saw it on both ends of the floor. She got better offensively, she got better defensively, and she just looked comfortable. And that culminated with the season high for her, 19 points in the national championship game. I think it's more of the same. I think with her, physically she's going to be in better shape this year, right from the get-go. That's something coaches said about this entire team, that they're in better shape at the beginning of the year than they were last year. She knows what to expect, and she can do a little bit of everything. She can shoot from the perimeter, she can shoot off the dribble, and she can defend better now. And I think it's reasonable. Some people talk about sophomore slumps. I think it's just reasonable for her to take that next step into a really good 2 guard, so that, let's say, when Pow Pow's not in the game, or if Pow Pow slides over to the point guard, you've got Tessa Johnson, who is, I don't know who's going to start, but let's say she's not starting. She would be a starter at a lot of places. She's that good. She's that capable of a shooter, and she can hold her own on defense. So, again, I just think the progression you saw for a full season last year, I think that's going to be magnified this year, just because she's going to have that confidence going into the season that maybe she didn't have in November of last year.
Brad, can we impose on you to hold over? Because Elijah and I both have a couple more things about this team we want to get to. All right, good deal. All right, our good friend Brad Muller, the voice of Carolina women's basketball, joining us. Carolina has an exhibition next week and then gets it going against Michigan to start the season in about a week and a half. More with Brad when the postgame show returns.
107.5 The Game.
In Columbia.
100.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.3 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. We all love streaking. I mean, streaming. Until we have to pay for it. But not when you stream the game.
And how much does it cost?
It's free. Just go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app. And stream for no charge. And listen for no charge.
This is Jim Rome with a Sports Minute. I can't stop thinking about that Gatorade bath that Gerard Mayo got after the Patriots beat the Bengals in Week 1. That does not feel like 7 weeks ago. In fact, that feels like 7 years ago at this point, because it's been almost straight downhill for Gerard and the Pats ever since he got covered in that icy blue sports drink. Hey, Bob, things have not gone well since Tommy bounced. I'm Jim Rome.
Hey, sports fans, if you're not calling John Anthony, you're simply missing out. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line, 1-800-244-5506. Minnesota at LA tonight is going to be a monster game, and I've got the side and total. Minnesota, Los Angeles, confirmed analysis, plus hoops and special prop action. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to sweep the board. Call now. Get them free on a recorded message, 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports, #1 against the spread, 1-800-244-5506. 244-5506. You want the information? I've got it. Minnesota, Los Angeles, plus pro hoops action. I love to go 5-0 the season free. John Anthony Sports, number one against the spread. 1-800-244-5506. That's 1-800-244-5506. Or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group. Injured in a car wreck? Need your check? It's easy. Dial 1-800-ALL-7s now.
The Anastapula Law Firm has been recovering millions for their clients for over 30 years. Whether it's a slip and fall, car accident, or any other issues that have resulted from an accident, Anastapula Law Firm can help. Their South Carolina personal injury attorneys have experience fighting for the rights of their clients. Remember, don't scream. Call Akeem. Dial 800-ALL-7s now. Herb Glass is responsible for this ad, and cases are handled at 32 Ann Street, Charleston, South Carolina, 29403. Paid endorsement, not actually client. Results may vary.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's grape.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
The current federal government is actually going $1 trillion deeper in debt every 100 days. That's why thousands are turning to Goldco, a top-rated gold company, to diversify their savings with time-tested safe haven assets, physical gold and silver. Right now, not only is Goldco offering a free gold and silver kit, but on qualified purchases, they'll give you up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver. Call 855-838-GOLD. That's 855-838-GOLD. Performance may vary. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
We are so excited. Sound and Images has upgraded to a phenomenal facility at 807 Bluff Road, right there across the street from our friends at the State Fair. We have new upgraded facilities, video conferencing room experience that will seat up to 35 people depending on configuration. We also have meeting space and venue space on property to offer our partners at Sound and Images. Please contact Sound and Images at soundandimages.net, your commercial AV installation and live event production specialists.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell.
On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach.
And 100.5 The Game in Florence. And now it's time to give away something that we think is really great from the game.
And that's something that we think is cool is tickets to the men's basketball opener against North Florida on Monday, November 4. Caller 5, good luck, 803-404-6100. As we continue our discussion with our good friend Brad Muller, who will be in Vegas when the women's team opens on the same night, Carolina taking on Michigan, is the most unenviable job in women's basketball right now, Dawn Staley's, because she has to put a starting five out there amongst this roster.
She kind of like last year. She's got good problems in terms of trying to figure out, which five to put out there each night. And what I asked her last night on the call-in show is, how do you keep everyone happy? You were able to do that last year, and everyone was great and unselfish. And it's harder to do nowadays in the this era of NIL and the transfer portal, where if you're not happy that you're not starting, it's easy to go somewhere else. But this group last year was perfectly fine with their roles, and it's doing that again. But I think when you're winning at the level that they are, that sometimes that is helpful. So yeah, she's got the good problem of having a wealth of talent. I guess you just look down the roster, and I think all but one was a McDonald's or all but two on the roster were McDonald's High School All-American. Some earned other high school All-American honors, but yeah, it's a wealth of talent, and it's proven talent too. There's lots of folks that have played a lot of games, been a part of a bunch of Final Fours and national championships, so it's a lot of fun.
I was a little surprised, and maybe only a little, and there's a lot of reasons for it, that Tahina Paopao was the only Gamecock women's basketball player to be voted first team preseason all-conference. Take it for what it is, right? I mean, it's preseason, and several Gamecocks were on the second team list. But that does, I think, say a lot about Tahina and what her role is going to be. We saw what she did last year. We know what kind of player she is, but now here's the full season, the championship, the off-season, the expectations. We've touched on all that, but what are you seeing and hearing from Tahina about what she, I'll ask it this way, Brad, what she's going to mean to this team, not just what she's going to do for this team, but there's a bigger picture aspect, I think.
I think it's similar to last year. Obviously, she's a veteran, a senior who's been through it all. You know, last year was her first year here after transferring from Oregon. But just her leadership. I mean, obviously, her numbers speak for herself. Led the SEC in three-point shooting last year, was second in three-pointers made. But just the leadership that she brings and the calm that she can bring. She and Raven are two different kinds of guards. When Raven's running the show, it's go. When Tahina's doing it, it's a little bit slower, but that's intentional. So I think she just brings just good balance for this team. And again, veteran leadership. And she's one of those kids that's got a great attitude, always smiling. Does things quietly, doesn't rock the boat. I'm not surprised that there's not many named on the preseason team, and part of that is because they shared the wealth so much last year that nobody really had those eye-popping numbers. There wasn't somebody scoring 20 points a game. They were all, scoring between 8 and 11 points a game, which on paper, if you just look at one person's numbers, like, well, they're only averaging about 8 or 9 points a game. But when you have 10 players that are averaging 8, 9, and 10 points a game, it's kind of hard to stop. But I think Tahina, just provides good leadership. You know what she can do on the court, but I think just her presence, her leadership, and kind of bringing the calm is one of the other things that how she benefits the team.
You mentioned the leadership. Last year, I think the funniest thing that anybody can notice about this team, when just listening to Dawn Staley describe her team, was her describe it as a daycare. Is this daycare part 2, or is there a different type of locker room dynamic this year as maybe opposed to last season?
Well, yeah, we talked about that last night with Dawn, and she said as silly as this team was last year, and they may be sillier this year. So, yeah, daycare's back in session. It was just such a, going into last year, we didn't really know what to expect, because the previous year you graduated that freshies class that had been to a bunch of Final Fours and won a championship, and most of them were starters since the day they got on campus, and then all of a sudden, all 5 starters are gone, and you're going, what are we going to do now? And then you just go undefeated and win the whole thing with a whole new group, and it's like, okay, this is what we're doing. So, I think it's more of the same. Coach talked about how she had to adjust her coaching style after having a team that was so, I hate using this word, business-like in terms of, outwardly, to a team that was, they took care of business when they needed to take care of business, but they had a lot of fun too, and it's just a definite different personality. But that personality from last year, I think it's pretty much going to be the same. You've got most of those characters back, so as tough as that might be for someone like Coach, who's all about discipline and things like that, coaches have to adapt, and she certainly has done that on more than one occasion in her career, and she did that last year, and that's in addition to the great talent they had. That's why they were able to hold it together and do the special thing they did, because Coach let them be, for the most part, who they are, as long as it didn't interfere with, what they really needed to do. She let them be them, and, being them was silly and fun, and that, it worked.
It worked
for that
As
group.
I say, there's the results speak for themselves, no question about it. He's Brad Muller, SCBrad92 to follow on Twitter. We'll talk to him, obviously, routinely throughout the course of the season. Safe travels out to Vegas, sir. We appreciate you, and we'll do it again soon.
Thanks so much. Take care, guys.
That's our good friend, Brad Muller. By the way, 12 games against the preseason top 25. So, loaded schedule. It's fun to watch.
Battle tested.
Headlines of the day and a picks contest coming up.
1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Sponsored by Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
It's back. The 49th running of the Colonial Cup returns Sunday to Camden on November 17th. Considered the greatest steeplechase event in horse racing, presented by Mulliken Law, with special thanks to the city of Camden and Kershaw County. Don't miss the pinnacle event of steeplechase at the Springdale Racecourse in Camden. Family fun, shopping, unique entertainment, and incredible tailgating. Reserve tickets now at carolinacup.org.
Plus, text second title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. Do you owe more than your car is worth? Are your payments too high? If you answered yes, you need JT's Kia. For the first time in years, JT has 0% authorized finance rates for 5 full years. Use it to lower your car payments. Get a Soul or Forte from $17,990. Tell the banks no thanks, pay no interest, and keep the savings in your pocket. This month only at JT's Kia on Greystone Boulevard.
Bothered by back, neck, shoulder, or joint pain? Get back in the game with the Joint Chiropractic. No appointment is necessary and no need to worry about insurance. The new patient special includes a consultation, exam, and chiropractic adjustment for just $29. Walk in today without an appointment. It's affordable and clinics are conveniently located in Forest Acres, Harbison, Killian, and Lexington. Learn more at thejoint.com. At The Joint Chiropractic, you don't have to feel bad to feel better.
For Phi, winning the fight against vision loss means seeing new ways to push himself. The Foundation Fighting Blindness is committed to funding research to end blinding retinal diseases. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Learn more at fightingblindness.org.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic
is sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive in West Columbia. Wetzel'sAuto.com.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a couple of accidents to get to you that are causing some significant delays on the roadways this afternoon. We'll go and start with one that's got the right lane completely blocked on I-20 westbound. That's over at Broad River Road near exit 65, so significant traffic backup right there. We also have an off-ramp blocked due to some emergency repairs on I-20 eastbound. And that's going to be on the off-ramp to South Carolina 277 at exit 73.
WNKT FM Eastover, Columbia.
Congrats to the Gamecocks women on another national championship.
A Cumulus media station.
It's time to check out what up in the world of sports.
This just in, breaking news is breaking out everywhere.
The 5 o'clock news.
The Postgame Show.
If you're just joining us, I'm covering some breaking news. You know news is breaking because I'm telling you so, and I might touch my earpiece like this.
5 o'clock news, sponsored by Integrated Media.
Columbia's premier home theater and security experts for over 20 years.
It is 5 o'clock on this Thursday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the Postgame Show. Alongside Elijah Campbell, I'm Jay Phillips. We appreciate you spending some of your afternoon time with us. We'll start with Braves news. The team announcing in the 3 o'clock hour that they have hired Tim Hires as their new hitting coach. He replaces Kevin Seitzer. Hires is 53 years old. He's from Atlanta, played in the Padre organization back in the day, and for the last 3 seasons has been hitting coach of the Texas Rangers, where, of course, last season they won the World Series. He has also been hitting coach of the Boston Red Sox and the Los Angeles Dodgers, has coached 12 Silver Slugger Award winners in his career. Again, he replaces Kevin Seitzer. The Braves also relieving Bobby Magallanes, the assistant hitting coach, and catching coach Sal Fasano. We know Sal's job is not going to be replaced. No word yet on who will assist Tim Hires, but I imagine that he will play a large role in that. But a little bit of Braves off-season news for you here. Of course, speaking of baseball, the World Series begins tomorrow night with the L.A. Dodgers hosting the New York Yankees. Dodgers favored tomorrow night in this one. First time since 1981 that these two have played each other in the World Series, and yet they still hold the record, if you will, for most World Series matchups against one another. I believe they've had 3 since the Dodgers moved out west, maybe a 4th earlier back in the day, but most of them came when they were the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Those count as Subway Series?
Yeah, they do.
They should.
They should. I'm glad there's not one of those this year. Know why?
You would not be very happy.
I was talking to our good friend David Cloninger this morning, and David is not real thrilled. He wouldn't, he's glad like me that the Mets didn't make it, because he's like, well, I had to pull for the Yankees at that point. And you have to do it in David's voice, which I won't try to do. But he, like me, was glad that the New York Metropolitans did not make it to the World Series. So, again, you're not pulling. Are you pulling for the Yankees?
I'm pulling for the Dodgers.
Okay, so
I'm having to cheer. I'm having to pick what I believe to be the best of 2 evils is. And to me, that's the Dodgers. I find them to be less evil than the New York Yankees.
Yeah, well, because the Yankee, there's the whole like Gotham, New York thing, and then there's like sunny LA, right? And even though I don't disagree with your take that these are still 2 evil empires that just simply look at you and go, you don't have any money. But we do.
We're Walmart, and you're the poor mom and pop shop.
LA does
your
it.
Best employees.
LA does it in that nice, bright blue and white home jersey, and the sun is always shining. You got the mountains of Chavez Ravine out in the outfield, and then
a beautiful backdrop.
Yeah, it's just nice. And then there's just the Bronx.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani, I think, is infinitely more likable than almost anybody on the roster.
Than Judge. I guess Gamecock fans might be pulling for Clark Schmidt. Braves fans, though, might look and say, well, hey, Freddie Freeman's out there. And Stan Kasten, the longtime president of the Braves, is now the president of the Dodgers. I like Dave Roberts.
I don't know if I could cheer, though, for those 2 guys, even if I was a Braves fan, because they still left you for the same evils that the Dodgers present.
Yeah, Stan actually went and helped start the Nationals, and then once that got going, then he was like, oh, you want to pay me like $50 million a year to live in L.A., huh? Well, I'll see what I can
say
do.
Less.
Yeah. So
it's a pretty good gig.
So there's that. I don't know how much he makes, but it's probably a lot. He's probably doing all right. Anyway, World Series starts tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on Fox. Football news for you last night. By now, many of you have seen this. Kennesaw State University, in their first ever FBS season, also picked up their first ever FBS win. They beat Liberty, previously undefeated Liberty, 27-24. Liberty goes to 5-1, 3-1 in CUSA. Excuse me. Kennesaw 1-6, now 1-2 in conference play. Last night, this is the second largest upset from a betting perspective in college football this season. Last night, the Liberty was minus 4,000. to beat Kennesaw. In other words, if you want to win $100 on Liberty winning the game, you had to bet $4,000 to do it. That's insane, man.
That, along with a 27.5 being a 27.5 point favorite, is absurd.
It's also, now see, Liberty was a 27.5 point favorite as well. That is, again, the second biggest outright upset behind Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame. They were 28.5 point underdogs. Vanderbilt is the third when they beat Alabama at plus 22.5. So congratulations to the Kennesaw State Owls. Can I be honest with you?
Uh-huh.
Until this morning, if you had said, Jay, what is Kennesaw State's nickname? I would have gone, But now I know it's the Owls.
I'm so disappointed in you. You know why? Because this summer when we had our
that was one of our
trivia questions of asking you the mascots of FBS teams, Kennesaw State was one of them.
It would have been great if you had asked me, like, Kennesaw State.
Jay Phillips doesn't take notes.
Temple. FAU. Do we have any other Owls?
Not that I can think of. Rice. No, Rice. Yeah, Rice.
Rice. Yeah, the Rice Owls. There you go. I should have known that one. That's probably that one in Temple, the most famous ones. The owl should be a more widely distributed mascot, because an owl is a cool bird. There's lots of kinds of owls, but like, in fact, I saw an owl in my backyard like 3 nights ago. It was great.
See, I'm all for diversifying the type of birds that we choose to be mascots for schools, right? Eagles, overplayed.
Sure.
Falcons, overplayed.
Hawks,
overplayed. Yeah. Give me more owls. Give me a pigeon.
Buzzards.
Give me a buzzard. Oh, a buzzard would be.
Why is nobody the buzzards? Or even vultures, if you just want to be more technically correct.
Vultures would be pretty intimidating.
Yeah, right?
Like walking into places, the home of the vultures.
Condors. Anybody the condors?
A pterodactyl would be pretty cool, too.
I want to go out to California and see one of those big condors, man. It's like, is that an airplane? No, that's a bird. You sure it's not an airplane?
Positive. It's a bird.
Yeah. Anyway, way to go. Way to go, Kennesaw State Owls.
Fun fact about this one, too. This is the first time since 2001, Jay Phillips, that a team 0-5 or worse beat a team 5-0 or better.
Oh, wow.
First time since 2001.
I won't even hazard a guess.
I won't either.
Okay.
I don't know that information. I just know that. So
saw the stat go by.
Saw the stat go by, and I said, you know what? I'm using that on the show today.
Tonight we've got Thursday night action. It's going to be a monster.
They're all monster games. I'll go 5-0.
The Vikings and Rams going at it in L.A. Rams not having a very good year, but maybe there's a little bit of good news, because the Rams today have activated Puka Nacua after 5 games out. So a little help for Matthew Stafford in that offense. Vikings obviously playing well, but coming off their first loss of the season. Minnesota is a 2.5 point favorite in that one. We'll have it for you should you not be near a television with a subscription service to a retail online giant. Then you can listen to it right here.
That's right. And you don't have to pay for it.
Nope.
We air it for free.
That's right. Just tune in. 7:30 coverage from Westwood One, 8:15 kickoff. Vikings at the Rams. Speaking of the NFL, the league announcing today that Lions wide receiver Jamison Williams will be suspended for 2 games without pay for his violation of the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing substances. He will be eligible to return against the Green Bay Packers in a couple of weeks. Williams said he would not appeal the decision, accepting the punishment, even though he said the news came as a complete surprise that I am still trying to understand. Quote, I don't take supplements or vitamins, and I am overly cautious about even taking over-the-counter medicine. At no time have I ever taken something in an attempt to cheat or look for an unfair advantage. I understand that I am responsible for everything that goes into my body, and I have to take accountability in this instance. It does seem to be an odd case. I don't know.
The hell did he take then?
Yeah, I don't know, man. And you know, sometimes these things are flawed. The thing is, they'll test and retest and probably, you know, retest. It does seem an odd case. He said he won't fight it. I imagine that the Lions can help him verify that he never takes any substances. And I'd be, when you do go and test, and especially with the NFLPA being as helpful as they are with their membership, that there would be some medical evidence to support his cause, and there probably is. At the same time, not fighting it tells me it's probably not worth it to fight it, or I don't know. This is a different case. Like who was the for the Padres? Tatis, right?
Yeah.
That took and like, oh no, my doctor back home gave me something.
Oh yeah.
It's like, well, why didn't you get it from your doctor in San Diego, dude? Because that's how this works. Things like that. So I don't know what happened here. Not here to say, oh, bless his heart or anything like that either. I don't know, but it does seem a different type of case than some when it comes to his suspension.
I will say, though, that now that he will have served a suspension for gambling and PED use, this all but ensures he will never be allowed to enter a Major League Baseball ballpark.
That's very fair.
That man just committed the 2 cardinal sins.
That's
Congratulations,
true,
buddy.
Yeah.
They won't even let you attend games as a fan.
And finally tonight, if I had told you in July or even early, mid to late August that Syracuse at Pitt
hell yeah
could have major college football playoff implications, you would have probably just not even taken the time to laugh in my face. You would have said, that man's insane, and just turned and walked away. And yet, tonight at 7:30 in Pittsburgh, 5-1 Syracuse at 6-0 Pitt.
Yeah.
Well, if Pitt loses, they may not have to leave town yet. They're undefeated in conference play, but this is only their 3rd conference game. Syracuse is 2-1. Pitt is a 5-point favorite in this one.
Give me Syracuse.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
That was my wild card pick on GamecockCentral.com.
Well,
pick Syracuse to beat Pitt. I made it spicy.
It looks like Vegas is expecting points in this one as well, as the over-under is 62.5.
Now, I will say, Jay, if you would have told me in July that Pitt and Syracuse were playing for serious college football playoff implications, I'd say, no, JJ, no. You were confusing the college football playoff with the Big Ten semifinals at Madison Square Garden. The year is 2010, and I am 15 years old.
Sure.
You're mistaken the two, because those were really good games back then.
Yeah. There aren't a lot of great Thursday night college football games anymore, and this one, listen, let's be honest with ourselves.
This one's better than the NFL game, if we're being honest with ourselves.
This wasn't supposed to be a high level college football game on a Thursday night, because they really don't do those anymore.
It just turned out because they moved them to Friday.
Yeah, but it worked. So that's good.
So happened to turn out that way.
There you go. I don't know what that one is, but it should also be a monster game.
That one's a monster game. They're all monster games.
Speaking of monsters, and by the way, that is our Integrated Media headlines of the day, brought to you by our good friends at Integrated Media. Watch this one or anything else better than ever. 803-948-8327. My very good friends at Integrated Media. Again, I will not be here tomorrow, so we are going to right now invite 2 of you to play this week's edition of the Wild Card Showdown. 803-404-6100. We'll go up against the spread. Elijah and I have been rolling the last 3 weeks, but we've also given away a lot of prizes. And the prize today is one of our 107.5 The Game craft beer passports. 803-404-6100. We'll make some picks against the spread with 2 of you right after this.
The Game Network in Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
In Florence.
100.5 The Game.
In Myrtle Beach.
100.3 The Game.
It's back! The Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest. Just go to 1075thegame.com and register. The pot starts at $100. Every week it increases $100 if Carolina doesn't score a special teams touchdown. But if the Gamecocks do score a special teams touchdown, you could win the pool. Again, just go to 1075thegame.com and register. It's the Lawyer Lisa Special Teams Contest from 1075 The Game.
1075 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios.
Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados.
Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
This report is sponsored by Palmetto Cards and Collectibles in Lexington. Palmetto Cards and Collectibles in Lexington is your go-to shop for all your trading card needs. Join them for Trade Night on October 26, 6 to 8 p.m. Wax specials, grading submission drop-offs, food, drinks, prizes, and more. Details at palmettocards.com.
Sponsored by Think It Up. Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Quietest dishwasher in the land. Like a Bosch. Dishes drier than the desert sand. Like a Bosch. Wash the dishes like a Bosch.
Clean like a Bosch. Check out the selection of Bosch dishwashers at the Nest in the Vista.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller-Brown. Do you know the difference between a revocable trust and an irrevocable trust? The difference could easily save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in long-term care costs. Visit lawyerlisa.com to schedule a consultation today.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
Daddy, you need a trust.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
They say perfection is a journey, and at Carolina Stone Craftsman, that journey leads us to just outside Columbia in Chapin. Our marble, our granite, our quartz, they're sculpted with the highest craftsmanship, honed with family values, and delivered with professional results. Explore the craftsmanship of each slab, see all our new showroom has to offer, and experience our custom hardscapes. Crafted to perfection, experience Carolina Stone Craftsman's workmanship. Take us for granted. Your journey to perfection starts with us, Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia and Chapin and beyond your expectations. CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
Hey, this is Paul Romenstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns, here today with my two sons.
Hey, I'm Blake Romenstein. Midlands Landscape and Lawns is a family-owned business rooted right here in the Midlands for over 30 years.
And I'm Braden Romenstein. We're not just local, we're your neighbors, and we're going to take care of you like you live next door.
From residential landscaping to hardscape design and installation to maintenance and everything in between. Call or visit Midlands Landscape and Lawns today at midlandslandscape.com.
Do you like trivia? Do you like pizza? You're going to love Thursday night at the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. That's right. Mellow in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington have live hosted team trivia every Thursday night starting at 7. Trivia buffs of all ages can compete for Mellow cash and swag in our fun and funky digs while enjoying specials on amazing pizzas, apps, sandwiches, salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. You've still got your long-term memory. Use it at the Mellow Mushroom every Thursday in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Let's text second title with approved credit. Call 888-320-6359 for details. Do you owe more than your car is worth? Are your payments too high? If you answered yes, you need JT's Kia. For the first time in years, JT has 0% authorized finance rates for 5 full years. Use it to lower your car payments. Get a Soul or Forte from $17,990. Tell the banks no thanks, pay no interest, and keep the savings in your pocket. This month only at JT's Kia, I-77 at Killian Road.
Bill Gunner for my great friends Rock and Daniel Lucas at Charwood Golf Club. Hey, the fall, better weather, exciting days are right ahead of us, and getting out to Charwood Golf Club is something my son Austin and I love doing because it's a relaxed, fun environment where you can go out, play music, enjoy an afternoon outdoors, and enjoy the excellent layout that is Charwood Golf Club. Line up your tee time today. 803-755-2000. Again, that's 803-755-2000. Call Charwood Golf Club today.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell. On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Minutes after 5 o'clock this Thursday afternoon. Welcome back into the Postgame Show. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. We have a 107.5 The Game craft beer card up for grabs for the Wild Card Showdown, but it does give me a chance to remind you that you can get your own for just $59. The brand new ones are out. $59. Go to 1075thegame.com. Click on Sweet Deals.
That would be Sweels.
There you go. And one or more could be yours. I don't know what the limit is. Probably isn't one.
No limits.
And if there is, you should just hit the limit.
The only limitations are the one you put on yourself, Jay Phillips.
I see that. Please drink responsibly. But a nice gift for you or the craft beer connoisseur in your life. With that in mind, cue the band. And we will, a day early this week, play the Wild Card Showdown. Again, I won't be here tomorrow, so we're going to go ahead and do this today. We've got Casey. We've got Caleb ready to play against us. Caleb, how are you?
Good. Doing well.
And Casey, how are you, sir?
Doing fantastic.
All right. Well, here we go, boys. 4 games for each of us against the spread. Pull out a wild card game. Got a tiebreaker stat. And, again, beat the other guy. And beat Elijah and me. And you get yourself a craft beer card. And you'll have to, Elijah, you can stretch because I just dropped my pen.
Now Jay Phillips has to get up from the chair for the first time today.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe that is an omen. Maybe it's not.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Dropping the pen.
What is the record whenever Jay drops his pen?
Over. All right, Casey, we're going to let you get things going. We'll start with the A&M LSU game. It's in College Station. Aggies, 2.5-point favorites. What do you think, Casey?
I'm going to take the Aggies. I need them to come to Carolina with a win so that we can beat down on them.
Okay. Yeah, we've talked about a few different scenarios for how that game could play out. So that's an interesting take. That's one of them amongst many. Caleb, same game.
I got LSU winning on a field goal.
LSU. Elijah Campbell.
I, too, will go LSU. I think they went outright, but it makes it sweeter to get the points here.
Yeah. I agree. I think LSU wins this game outright. So I will take LSU as well.
Casey on Aggie Island.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Well, hey, Aggie Island is probably really nice.
Well, they probably funnel a lot of money into it. You probably also have to deal with the Yell leaders a lot, which I'm sure is not the most fun type of person to be stuck with on an island. So there's no shortage of cheer.
Imagine that being like a beautiful 5-star resort, Aggie Island, and then what's the entertainment? Yell leaders.
It's like,
it's all inclusive. There's a picture for everybody. All right. Good luck, Casey. We'll see how that one turns out for you. Notre Dame and Navy are playing in a big game. Had to put this one on the list today, guys. Neutral site in New York. Well, technically Jersey. But it's Notre Dame minus 13.5 over the midshipmen. Caleb, I'll let you go first.
I got Notre Dame in the 13.5.
Notre Dame minus the points. Casey.
I feel the same way. I love Navy, but give me Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Elijah Campbell.
This one is for my friend Mitchell, who is a former Navyman seaman himself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Navy in the
Navy
points.
Plus the points, huh? I've back and forth on this one. I would love to see Navy be able to hang around, even win this football game. But I think Notre Dame is playing some pretty good football. The wake-up call, a month ago really helped. So much to my father-in-law's chagrin, as a Navy man, I'm going to take Notre Dame to cover that one. All right, Elijah, I'll let you go first on a couple of NFL games here. We've got the Bengals hosting the Eagles. Cincy minus 2.5.
Bengals hosting the Eagles minus 2.5. Give me the Eagles in the points here.
Philly plus the points. I'm going to go Cincinnati by a field goal, so give me Cincy in that one. Casey, what do you got?
I got Joe Burrow for a quarterback and the defense of the Eagles. So I want to go with the Bengals.
Cincy to cover at home. Caleb.
Saquon Barkley had a good week last week, but I'm going to have to go with Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Cincy at home, yeah. And I still, again, Giant fans hating on Saquon. I'm like, they ran him out of town, man.
It's like, Saquon wanted to stay.
Yeah, he wanted to stay. It's not Saquon's fault.
The Bengals got to do something, too.
Yeah. San Francisco hosting the Dallas Cowboys. It is the Niners, even how banged up they are. Niners minus 4. I'll start this one and say Niners cover the 4 points. Elijah Campbell.
You know what? Man, this is really tough. Yeah, I want to say 49ers too. Cover that.
I just don't have the faith in Dallas to go do it.
That offensive line's atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, I know San Francisco's missing a lot of guys, but I just think their defense is good enough to keep them in the game. Casey, what do you got?
We're 49er fans, but they're so hurt, I'm taking the Cowboys.
Okay, all right.
Wow, the old emotional hedge.
Dallas plus the 4 on the road. Caleb.
Interesting. I'm going to have to go with the 49ers.
San Francisco.
Hopefully it feels better.
Casey is now on 2 Texas islands this weekekend.
I'm sensing a theme.
Yeah. South Padre's nice this time of year, so you can go check that out, Casey. No.
Casey's in Galveston.
We'll see. Yeah, Galveston. All right, wild card game. Casey, let's get yours first. Casey has the game of the week. Boise State, 3.5-point favorites at UNLV with all kinds of playoff implications, Casey. Boise minus 3.5 in Vegas.
UNLV all the way.
Oh, all right. I'm really looking forward to that game.
I am too.
I mean, that's going to be fun.
I mean, that's game of the year potential.
Yeah, it could be. Caleb, you have got Oregon. This is ranked versus ranked, I want to say. Oregon, 21.5-point favorites at Illinois. What do you think, Caleb?
Ooh. Give me Illinois in the point.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
It was what, 21.5 or 23?
Yeah, I got 21.5 this morning. Yeah, 21.5. That's a lot of points, man. Illinois is playing good football.
They are.
Elijah Campbell, we got road favorites all over this board this week.
Favorites.
Penn State, 6.5-point favorites at Wisconsin.
Oh boy, Wisconsin's playing some good football lately.
After Alabama beat them up, they're doing all right.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's tough. But you know what? This seems like a different Penn State team. I want to take Penn State minus the 6.
It's 6.5. That makes
6.5. Ooh, yes.
Any difference?
Give me the hook. Nope.
All right. Just making sure.
No hook, no problem.
Making sure. And finally, yours truly has Texas going to Vanderbilt. It's the Commodores getting 18.5. And I'm really struggling with this now that I see it. That's a lot of points. I know what Vandy's been doing. Texas is going to be all hacked off. Oh, man. Give me Vandy in the points. That's a lot of points.
That is a lot of points at home.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. And finally, the tiebreaker is we're going to stay in that game. I need total offense for Diego Pavia. That's what I'm looking for. Total offense for Vandy's quarterback. All right, give everybody a chance to think about that one for just a second. And then we'll let Caleb go first with a number. Total offense, Diego Pavia. What do you got, Caleb?
247 yards.
247. That's a good number. Casey.
Who are they playing again? I've drawn a blank.
Texas.
They got beat down. 150.
150. I'll let Elijah Campbell go last because he's got the best record. I like Caleb's number. I'm going to come near you, Caleb. 230. 230. Elijah Campbell.
You said 230. I will go 237 because this is a number that I calculated as you read it off. So
237. There we go. All right, guys. Elijah's out front at 22-17-1 against the spread. I am 20-19-1. We have won 3 consecutive weeks, which likely means one of you is going to win because I can't possibly imagine we go 4 straight, but we shall see. But
we'd love to go 5-0 for you.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. But if one of you, again, beat the other guy, beat us, we'll hook you up with a 1075 craft beer card good at 12 locations all across the Midlands. So, Casey, Caleb, we appreciate you listening, first and foremost. Appreciate you wanting to play. Enjoy the weekend's games, and we'll let you know on Monday.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Have a good one. There you go. Casey, Caleb, and this week's Wild Card Showdown. Boise, UNLV.
Oh,
it's going to be great.
Man, that's a fun one. It's
going to be great.
I mean, I'm surprised I'm the only one that took Navy. I think 13.5 points, as well as that offense is playing.
It is. I know. And I feel like that's a 7-point game late, and Notre Dame makes it 14.
I was just on the phone with my boy Davey. Yeah. He was still in the Navy.
In the Navy?
Yeah, he probably will be for life. And he told me to pick Navy, so can't let him down.
Side and total.
Side and total. Listen to your boy Davey. He'd love to go 5-0 for you on a recorded message.
We'll update the poll question and give you a drive around the SEC.
That's coming up next.
In the book.
From the Midlands to the PD to the beach. The Game Network. Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality. The Game TV.
Bill Gunner here for Ecton Law Firm. I tell you, if you've been having tax troubles, they're bothering you, they're weighing you down, you don't need to let that happen any longer. Let the stress of taxes be taken care of by the Ecton Law Firm. Set up a free consultation today, 803-771-9800. They have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. At the Ecton Law Firm, they understand the challenges you or your business could face. That's why John Ecton and his team are ready to offer you the peace of mind that you deserve. With proven local solutions, they've helped thousands of families and businesses just like yours escape the IRS maze. So take the first steps to a worry-free life today by contacting the Ecton Law Firm, 803-771-9800, or visit EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com, the John Ecton Law Firm.
Plus text second title with approved credit. Call 866-243-4623 for details. Do you owe more than your car is worth? Are your payments too high? If you answered yes, you need JT's Jeep Ram. Even if your credit's been turned down. For the first time ever, JT has up to $9,500 in factory authorized rebates. Use it to pay off your car or lower your car payments. And JT has 0.9% financing for 72 months. Claim your cash and drive away in a brand new Jeep or Ram at JT's Jeep Ram. 378 Lexington Jeep Adventure Days.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
A lot of land comes with a lot of work. The new Kubota MX Series has a lot to offer, including the versatility to mow, move hay bales, grade roads, and clear brush and snow. An optional spacious cab to keep you comfortable in any conditions. A front-end loader with excellent loader lift capacity, transmission options, and rated #1 in durability and owner experience. Visit your local Kubota dealer today.
Stop by Pioneer Farm Equipment in Orangeburg, 1 mile off of I-26 exit 154B, or at pioneerfarmsc.com.
Got something to say? Ring us up on the Love Chevy phone line at 803-404-6100. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 100.5 The Game in Florence. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic
is sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive in West Columbia. Wetzel'sAuto.com.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell with a few accidents to get to you that are causing some issues on the roadways. And by a few accidents, I just mean one, because there's only one that's causing traffic back up here in the Midlands, it looks like. There is an accident that has the left lane blocked on I-20 eastbound. That's going to be over at Broad River Road near exit 65. Looks like that's causing some minor traffic backup right now. Everything else that we've reported on from earlier has since been cleaned up. So again, the only traffic backup caused by accident appears to be on I-20 eastbound over at Broad River Road near exit 65.
Time for our drive around the SEC.
Georgia on the mountaintop. Demons be gone, and the drought is over. National champions.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell. Your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia. 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
25 minutes in front of 6 o'clock here on a Thursday. Welcome back in. It is Drive Around the SEC time. Jay and Elijah with you. Pretty good slate of games this weekend across the conference. Again, the only undefeated conference teams left, at least, LSU and A&M. That's conference record. As we told you yesterday, there was a stat out there. It's the first time since 2007 that no team in the SEC is undefeated headed into November. And we've obviously still got a weekend of games in October. But in terms of conference play, LSU and A&M, one of them will remain undefeated in conference play. And I think it's going to be LSU.
That's how these sports work.
Yeah, I think that's going to be LSU.
I think so, too. I mean, there's something about A&M that I don't fully trust. Like, they're a good football team. I mean, there's no reason to, I guess, maybe distrust them. They've played some close games, but they've also been battle-tested. They had to win some games with their starting quarterback out. Connor Wegman looks better. They've got some really good weapons. You know, Noah Thomas at receivers, a 6'6" matchup nightmare. But there's just something about A&M that I don't necessarily trust. And I think it might be because Mississippi State moved the ball maybe a little too well through the air on Saturday to lead me to believe that that LSU offensive line is going to give Garrett Nussmeier enough time to be able to surgically move the ball up and down the field.
Well, I just think we've seen from Nussmeier an ability to hit the moment. Yeah, I mean, here in Columbia, the win over Mississippi, dude's good, man. I like Wegman, too. I'm with you. I don't think A&M's a bad football team. We can sit here and rag on A&M all we want to, and I kind of like doing it sometimes.
It's fun.
I mean, again, you know, history shows you. These are not – I mean, yes, it can be an opinion that they're an underachieving team, an underachieving program. But for a guy like me, I say that because I go back and look at the last 30 or 40 years, and they typically lose four or five games a year. It's just what they do. It's not a judgment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I like to say, it's not a judgment. It's an observation, you know? And I don't know if for you or me or people like us, fans, media, whomever, if some of that doesn't creep into your mind, like, well, you started well, but you don't always close the deal. Whereas I think LSU, and we talked about it after the win in Columbia, after the win over Mississippi, love them, hate them, don't want to hear this, whatever, they're used to winning. And
Brian Kelly's used to winning.
Kelly, exactly, yes. Brian Kelly is used to winning. And I think this team fully understands, go do your job, and you're going to be, you know, look, I don't mean it when I say, hear me out. What I mean when I say, go do your job, and you're going to win the national championship. I don't think they're the best team in America. I don't honestly know who the best team in America is right now, which is great.
2007 vibes.
But LSU, being a top 10 team, is one of the best teams in America. You know, and Gamecock fans, you should feel pretty good about the fact that, you know, some questionable decisions and a couple of things that didn't go your way and a hurt quarterback didn't let you beat LSU that day. You can go toe-to-toe, but that's beside the point. I just think LSU is better than Texas A&M, and I think they will find a way to get the job done. And I think being battle-tested like they were in Columbia in a hostile environment and what they did against Mississippi at home just gives them an edge. And again, Nussmeier is playing really good football, man. I mean, he just looks the part, and I think he's going to be very good at the next level. Could be dead wrong, but I think he looks the part of a guy who doesn't let the moment get to him. And that's I like that look. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, the connection he has with Kyron Lacey might be the best in the SEC. It's up there in terms of quarterback to receiver. And like if it's 3rd and 9, I need a first down. That offensive line is going to give Nussmeier time to throw. Kyron Lacey's going to get open.
Alabama opened as 14-point favorites against Missouri in Tuscaloosa on Saturday. That's a 3:30 game on ABC. It is now 16.5. There is no real faith in Missouri after the narrow escape against Auburn, the narrow escape against Vanderbilt. They were humbled by A&M for their only loss Does this mean Eli finds a way and bucks the trend here?
Not without Brady Cook.
No.
Yeah, that's apparently not likely to play.
I guess that's part of the reason that this thing's moving the way it is. But, again, Bama opened heavy favorites, so we'll see. That one's, again, at 3:30. I have also predicted that Auburn is going to beat Kentucky this weekend in Lexington. Auburn... And going back, if you missed it, Elijah and I were talking earlier. Seth Emerson had a great metric in today's Athletic, or at least in a piece today at the Athletic, the sudden change margin. Now, Auburn didn't really feature heavily in that, but their turnover margin did. Auburn is -10 in turnover margin. -10. I mean, clean that up. I mean, they should have beaten on Missouri last week.
They absolutely should have.
They really should have.
And they should have beaten Oklahoma.
They should have beaten Oklahoma.
But how did they lose some of those games?
Turning the ball over.
Yep. The Oklahoma one specifically.
Yeah.
That Oklahoma game.
But they have 4 in that one?
I think so. But, I mean, there one big one, and that was Peyton Thorne throwing the game-winning touchdown pass to
the wrong guy.
Yeah, to the wrong team.
But something tells me that Auburn, because Kentucky is struggling, and there's just something's off with UK. Kentucky's a slight favorite in this one, both 2.5 points. And the computer is at 51%. It's basically 51-49 for Kentucky. So toss up across the board.
Yeah.
But I just think Auburn finds a way.
Auburn should win. But the funny thing about this game is if you're just really into really poor decision-making and bad football, these two teams are
who isn't?
Yeah, who isn't? No, I'm an absolute sicko myself when it comes to watching some of these games. But Kentucky and Auburn are 2 of the 3 teams in the SEC that have minus turnover differential and sudden change margin.
Yeah.
Only 3 teams have minus both.
Right.
Negative in both. And that is Kentucky, Auburn, and Arkansas. So we're featuring a game that has 2 of those 3 teams.
Yeah.
Not very advantageous.
No.
And they're also really bad at giving.
Let me go back and look. What time? Is that that's a night game?
Ooh, after dark.
Yeah. That's a night game.
Getting freaky.
Vandy and Texas, again, I that's my wild card game this week. I took Vandy plus the 18.5. Because why not?
A little bit of chaos.
I got to be honest with you. As soon as I wrote down Vandy on my list here, I got that buyer's remorse. I'm not going to change it. I mean, I could technically change it, but I'm not going to.
Hey, I mean, Vandy's a very good underdog to a T because they don't turn the ball over a ton.
Right.
They move the ball well enough on offense. The defense has forced a lot of turnovers this year. They have a scrambling quarterback who sometimes can be hard to account for, so if he breaks contain and Texas can't keep him in the pocket, weird stuff just happens. Usually the teams that pull off upsets in college football have the wild card scrambling quarterback with a high ceiling.
Yeah.
Diego Pavia it fits that mold perfectly.
Is Diego Pavia going to want for anything again in Nashville, Tennessee?
Nope, he'll be given.
Okay. That's good.
Him and some of his teammates were having a hell of a time at the Nashville Predators hockey game the other night from what I saw.
Okay. That's good. That's good. And finally, Mississippi is a 20-point favorite over Oklahoma. Does Oklahoma get the we fired our offensive coordinator bounce?
No, because whoever's calling the plays.
Not to win, just to cover. Just to cover. Yeah. They're not going to win.
Nah. Unless whoever's calling the plays now is a miracle worker.
48.5 over under.
That one might hit the under. I feel good about that one hitting the under. Like Ole Miss is probably going to win that one like 24-7.
Okay.
Or 10 maybe.
What was it here? 27-3?
27-30.
But again, as I told Elijah, y'all, that one's going to stick with me for a long time. Just because I just...
Maybe forever.
I know I shouldn't keep bringing it up, and I'm not trying to beat anybody up about it, and everybody knows, but I just would... Kentucky beat Mississippi, and Carolina went toe-to-toe with LSU, and Carolina throttled Kentucky, and I would just love to have seen a fully engaged Carolina football team in Williams-Brice Stadium play Mississippi, and we just didn't get to see that.
Yeah.
And it's just going to stick with me. It shouldn't, but it will.
Yeah. My only thing that'd make you feel better was I don't think that offense was scoring, even if they had.
You're probably right. That's why I said you're probably
that
right.
Ole Miss defense is pretty good.
I get it. But man, I'd like to if Kentucky could.
I'd like to hit the restart button on that game.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I want. I just punt and play defense. Let's see what happens. Anyway, that's the drive around the SEC. We'll update you on our Gamecock football poll question when the postgame show returns.
107.5 The Game. In Columbia. 100.5 The Game. In Florence. 100.3 The Game. In Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Hey, paying for streaming? One more thing you got to stream and pay for? Well, the Game app is, wait for it, free.
It's free! It's free! It's free!
Yes, all you got to do is go to iTunes or Google Play and download the 107.5 The Game app and listen for nothing in all respects of the word. Nothing.
This is Zach Gelb with the Sports Minute. The USC Trojans are in a terrible spot, staring at a buyout of over $80 million for Lincoln Riley. Riley is an overrated coach, and whenever USC inevitably moves on from him, their next coach must be of the program-building type. Riley has been successful in the past, but it was because he took over a good situation in Oklahoma and brought Caleb Williams with him to USC. Riley isn't a program builder, and that's why he can't turn USC around. I'm Zach Gelb.
Hey, sports fans, if you're not calling John Anthony, you're simply missing out. To prove it, I'm releasing your Thursday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line, 1-800-244-5506. Minnesota at LA tonight is going to be a monster game, and I've got the side and total. Minnesota, Los Angeles, confirmed analysis, plus hoops and special prop action. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to sweep the board. Call now. Get them free on recorded message, 1-800-244-5506. Information lands John Anthony Sports #1 against the spread, 1-800-244-5506. You want the information? I've got it. Minnesota, Los Angeles, plus pro hoops action. I love to go 5-0 the season free. John Anthony Sports #1 against the spread, 1-800-244-5506. That's 1-800-244-5506, or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group. It's your broker, Benji Getzi. 6 straight weeks of declining rates. Now is the time. V8 30-year fixed, 4.8%, APR 5.2. 30-year conventional, 5.5%, APR 5.8. Second home investors, 6.4%. DSCR and fix and flip financing, 6.9%, APR 7.3. So visit Buford.mortgage for the fastest rate quotes in the industry, available 24/7. Thanks for shopping your rate with Buford Lending. We want to be your broker.
Is your crawl space damp or musty? Water in your crawl space can cause wood to rot and creates an environment for mold and mildew that can make its way inside your home. Canty Foundation Specialist specializes in crawl space repair. Call us today for your free inspection so you can have the peace of mind knowing your crawl space is dry and your home is protected. Call today, 803-424-8380, or visit cantycanfixit.com.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Man, too much work.
Not if you call them. They handle the switching.
Now, that's a plot twist.
Shh. Check Allstate first, and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Former CIA officer Jason Hansen here. In my line of work, I've seen firsthand how fast the world can change. With rising geopolitical tensions and inflation eating your buying power, it's time to take action. For me, that means gold. And for gold, I exclusively trust Advantage Gold. I urge you to do the same. Call them now at 800-900-8000 for a free gold guide to discover the security that comes with owning precious metals. Again, call 800-900-8000 today.
Paid for by Advantage Gold. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
The Postgame Show with Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell. On your home of the Gamecocks in Columbia, 107.5 The Game. Also heard on 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Welcome back in. Final few minutes of our Thursday program here. Jay and Elijah with you. No Carolina calls tonight. That was last night with Coach Dawn Staley. But tonight we do have Westwood One NFL coverage as the Vikings take on the Rams.
Yeah, it's a monster.
It's a monster. Without going into any detail, Elijah and I are hoping to work on something that involves that guy. But, no, you know what we should have done, like, for our bet?
Make the loser have to call him.
No, the loser has to do the whole show in that voice.
Oh, my God. You know, like, if the pollen hits me bad enough and my voice gets really mucusy, I can just pretend like I'm gargling it, and I'll sound just like that for 3 hours.
But maybe that's what we'll do. But we'll see. We got some irons in the fire.
This could be really good. Or we could just do our own recorded message.
Right.
Where we pick games, but we don't do it because we have inside information. We do it off of the dumbest reasons imaginable.
Sure. That shade of blue, I got to tell you, it's not going to win you a football game.
Not after Labor Day, it's not.
We should put like, sports picks guy voice on Bill's wheel of misfortune over here. I bet that guy's awesome, though, man. I mean, I bet he's great. You know?
Here we are just making fun of him.
Let's face it. He'd love to go 5-0 for you. He'd love to.
Yeah, I would not like to go 5-0
I want to go 5-0.
I would love to sabotage you and take your money.
Absolutely.
He's a lot more generous than I am.
I mean,
he's cheering for your success.
He would love to go 5-0 for you.
Because he knows his success equates to your success. Your success. He knows that the rising tide will lift all boats. I'm here for the misery of all of us. I'm all for more shared misery.
I want to hear that dude like reading Shakespeare.
Romeo, Romeo. To be or not to be.
The first time I ever heard that, like a couple years ago, I'd love to go 5-0 for you on a recorded message. I was like, yeah, I bet you would, man. Anyway.
It's like how I imagine gremlins would sound if they morphed into humans.
It is, yes. That's about right.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like Iowan gremlin.
Hey, listen, hit us up. Those of you who have ever called that guy, let us know on the text line. How you doing? Did he go 5-0 for you on a recorded message?
And if he went 4-1 for you,
was it a monster game?
Does he still honor the deal?
Is the season free? I don't know how these things work.
I don't either.
I don't know.
I'm very new to the recorded message part. I'm very new to that.
That's a great spot. It's a great spot.
And again, it brings us a lot of joy.
No, it's great, man. I love it. I'm not picking on the guy. And again, if you want to bet on sports, bet on sport. I don't care. But it's just a great spot. I just love those spots.
I think
awesome.
Our favorite thing here is his attitude towards it. Like, I'd love to go 5-0.
I'd love to go 5-0 for you. I mean, that's like the happiest dude.
But you know what it kind of sounds like? It almost kind of sounds like someone saying they would love to fulfill a promise, but they know they're not going to, so they're making a promise they can't keep. Yeah. So they can't say the word promise.
Like reality sets in.
Hey, Grandpa, can you come to my basketball game? Well, I'd love to come to your basketball game, but
I've got a date.
I ain't getting any younger.
Anyway, all right. Well, let's see. I don't have final results because they just went final. Ooh, how about that? Right as I click it went final. Thank you all. We had over 400 votes. What do you want the Gamecocks to do most during this off week? A, fix their offensive line issues. B, work on quarterback wide receiver timing. C, work on the run game. D, rest and heal. 64.3. So it kept ticking down just a little bit from its peak yesterday. But still, that's nearly two-thirds of you. Say, fix the offensive line issues. 17% work on quarterback wide receiver timing. 11.5% rest and heal. Just 7.2% have concerns on the run game. And many of you that hit us, whether it was on Twitter or the Firehouse Subs text line about this poll question, with the common refrain, Elijah, was, hey, take care of that offensive line and the rest will follow. And I think that's the right way to look at it. Again, what kind of lineup, I think the word you used was experimentation. What kind of lineup experimentation were you able to do this week before you give the guys a few extra days off to go get some good home cooking from Mom? I don't know, and we'll find out more about that from Shane and Dowell next Tuesday and Wednesday when they get back to the podium down at the facility ahead of the A&M game. But I don't disagree with those things. Again, I would pick either A or B, but I certainly appreciate how they mesh.
See, if I was to put in an alternate option there, I hope they all read a good book.
Yeah, there you go.
Get you some good education.
With Dude's voice as like your narrator.
Yeah, can you imagine that guy reading You of Mice and Men? Or Grapes of Wrath? Yeah.
I will not be here tomorrow. Elijah's got all kinds of stuff to do tomorrow. And a Halloween party?
That's right.
Man, you got a day. I'll see you all Monday. Have a great weekend.
I'm going 5-0 for you.
107.5 The Game. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. Take up to $20,000 off new Silverados. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Together, let's drive.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com.
Play social games online for free. Head to ChumbaCasino.com now to join the Chumba fun and experience the thrill of the Chumba life. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions.